All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It is arguably one of the best days of the year. And that's not just me, John. It's not me saying it. It's not you saying it. It's the Padres manager, Mike Shildt. Pitchers and catchers, they did something today they do only one time a year. They reported, like when the groundhog, he either sees his shadow or he doesn't. The pitchers and the catchers did something they do one time. They reported... This is what Mike Shildt had this day, this iconic day.
Oh, what a day.
This memorable day.
It's a little gloomy outside, so it's not like really that
not
memorable.
Really. This is
but in Arizona.
Listen to Mike Shildt.
I mean, it's like one of the best days of the year, right? It's hard to quantify the best, but it's in the top 5 pitchers and catchers. Here we are. You know, people talk about the offseason when the pitchers and catchers report. Well, here we are. We're reporting and we're getting after it. So it's an exciting day.
Oh, top 5 day.
Reporting, man.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine that you get there, like I've reported.
Give me your top 5 days of the year.
Sports?
Not in no order, just like days. Like
I mean, this would be
5.
easy. I mean, pitchers and catchers. And listen, you and I mean, nobody talks more baseball than you and I. Mm-hmm. I'm passionate about baseball. It's my whole career.
Love it.
And all I cared about as a kid was baseball. Pitchers and catchers is not in my top 5 days as a sports fan. I mean, that's a joke. I could just rattle off right now: Super Bowl opening day, March Madness, and give me 2 more. Pitchers and catchers isn't there. I mean, the World Series, the NFL playoffs, college football. I mean, there's so many things I would put above pitchers and catchers. But the one thing I would say with pitchers and catchers, and you can chime in, 70470
it's a top 5 day in human history.
Maybe today.
Here we are.
70470 started with team or 877-767-4760. The one thing it does signify is what we all love, which is the fact that baseball season is back. I mean, it does signify that. You don't get much more than that today. I mean, nobody's going to break down like knuckleball usage today.
Some will in this town.
But pitchers and catchers have reported. Position players report in 5 days. And here we are again. And Shildt, to have Mike Shildt back is a gift.
It is.
It is a true, to have him back every single day. And Kevin AC will join us today at 4 p.m. But to have Mike Shildt sound bites daily, Jim, basically makes our lives easier.
And just hearing him, it's chef's kiss.
It is.
I love it. Top 5 day of the year. Mike Shildt.
Top 5 day of our lives.
Top 5 day of
Shildt's birth. My wedding day.
Pitchers and catchers.
Aztecs make a Final Four, and today's pitchers and catchers reporting.
The 2025 season where pitchers and catchers report. I mean, you can't get any better than this day, honestly.
No. Did you see what some of the guys were wearing? T-shirts. Some guys had shorts on. Some guys had jeans on. I saw guys with hats.
Some were wearing sneakers. Some were wearing just regular shoes.
Loafers.
Sandals.
Yeah.
Dylan Cease, beard and all. They're out throwing baseballs, John.
They did today.
They were catching those baseballs.
Yeah.
They were doing stretches. I saw a video of Ethan Salas walking.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I saw that same video.
He's just walking.
He was walking pretty well.
I was like, whoa, dude is walking right now.
I mean, here's what you get on a day like today, and we'll talk to Kevin AC who's there. The big news of the day. This is the problem with pitchers and catchers reporting.
Yeah.
That you get this, and we pretend for a moment, we're like, oh, wow, is this a big deal? So Dennis Lynn writes, the Padres will stretch out Stephen Kolek as a potential starter. Brian Hoeing is staying in the bullpen. There's your day one headline.
Everything's fine,
there
guys.
It is. Forget about Roki Sasaki.
Yeah, they missed out on him. Didn't bring back Profar.
The Blake Snell thing's not a big deal.
Haven't made any moves this offseason of consequence.
But
Stephen Kolek,
who I'd kind of forgotten was even with them.
No offense to Stephen Kolek. I don't spend any time of my day thinking about Stephen Kolek. Sorry.
Other than today.
Other than this moment right now.
Right. Is there anything else newsworthy out of today?
Shildt talked about the catching position. I mean, listening to Shildt.
That's newsworthy.
It is, of course, newsworthy. He is the most, and I've said it before, we've talked, the most positive person I have ever covered, maybe met in my entire life. This guy, nobody can do any wrong. Nobody. Everything's great. Everybody's awesome. Everybody on this team is just the most amazing player in the history of the planet. Now, I do think the way that he is behind closed doors and his positivity and encouragement does help. But there are times when it is funny to listen to Mike Shildt and be like, man, I honestly, I got to respect you because, bro, I don't think I'd ever be that positive in my entire life. So props to you, man, for being the most positive person maybe I've ever covered.
Yeah, this isn't an act. Like you don't say on day one of spring training and pitchers and catchers reporting like this is the top 5 day of my life unless you mean it. Like because it would be so disingenuous if you didn't mean it that you would never say it. He genuinely is this manager. Like he eats, breathes, sleeps it, not cliche. Like this is who he is. I thought it worked in 2024. Coming off 2023 with the disappointment, the fractures essentially in that clubhouse. Melvin didn't get through to players. Players didn't connect well. Like 2023 just didn't work. And I'm not putting on Melvin, but I'll give a lot of credit to Mike Schilt for pointing this thing in the right direction in 2024. The question is, can he continually do that? Bless you.
Sorry.
That's a top 5 day. You sneezed. Like, is this song and dance going to continue to work?
5.
They went 93 and 69 last year. What if they don't do that? Is the song and dance, the Schiltisms, the positivity in the clubhouse led by Manny Machado, will that continue to work?
The day Mike Schilt's negative is the day that he's not here anymore.
Yeah, probably.
Or I don't even know.
Well, they'll have 6 wins the year that he's negative. I mean, if they go 6 and 156, they'll start turning on the team.
There was almost a moment last year. There was almost a moment where he was like upset.
Well, then it's mad at like Kevin.
Yeah, then it turned to him yelling at Dennis and Kevin.
Yeah, I don't even remember the circuit. Like he would be so. What really gets under Mike Schilt's skin is if
roller coasters.
Well, like what do you mean a roller coaster? But like if you even say like, hey, Stephen Kolek really hasn't been throwing strikes recently. Well, he's got a 5% walk rate. I mean, what do you mean?
Oh man, what was the question that Dennis asked me? It was in Colorado. I forget the exact question, but he just like lit up Dennis. And you're like,
yeah, he's gonna do that a few times a year, not with Dennis specifically, but just with reporters.
And it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
but I'm happy that he's back. I'm happy that baseball season is back. I'm happy it's pitchers and catchers. Couple days you'll get, the entire team reporting. And I'm sure you're going to hear right away from guys like Manny and Xander and Dylan Cease and Michael King and Jackson Merrill. But the main thing is still the main thing. While everybody will be back here in the next couple days officially, there's still work to be done. There's still things that have to be done. Just because Mike Schilt's in love with every one of his players and thinks that they're going to go 162-0, there's still like the pitching is an issue. Are you really going to go into the season with these 2 catchers? I guess you are. Left field, Xander, depth, a lot of question marks with this team still.
Well, I want to hear, I guess we could do it later in the hour. I don't know if Brent has the sound or not, but Mike Schilt on Jason Hayward, because I thought this actually to me is pretty interesting. Because last year left field occupied by Jurickson Profar, the year before Juan Soto, the production was great the last couple of years in left field. I had assumed that Jason Hayward would platoon in left field with Connor Joe. That was my assumption. That was their plan to start 2025. I think I misspoke because let's hear from Mike Schilt and then react to how he envisions Jason Hayward and Connor Joe fitting into this roster.
Jason, I mean, listen, the guy's a winner. Clearly won a World Series with the Cubs. Been, on a lot of postseason teams in his career. Virtually every year he's in the postseason. So you're talking about a winning player. I was with him in St. Louis in 15. Came up at the end of that year, and he's just, he's a proven guy, a real pro, and he's clearly going to get the opportunity to go play and get the opportunity in left field that we have. And he's excited to be here, and we're excited to have him. So it's a really good addition, especially this late in the offseason. And then Connor Joe, local kid that has been able to play all over the field. So, he'll be in that mix a little bit as well, but also has played first base. And, we do have more of a DH spot open as well. So there's multiple different paths for Connor. And again, I'm really excited. I won't put words in his mouth clearly, but, a guy that homegrown guy that's going to be able to have some home games. So plus makeup, plays the game right, and it'll be a good addition.
But did you notice there that he said Hayward would be given the opportunity to be the starting left fielder? I was like, well, hold on. I thought he was going to platoon. I never once envisioned Jason Hayward starting against left-handed pitching and right-handed pitching. I figured he'd solely platoon, and then Connor Joe would solely platoon. What it sounded like there was like, Jason Hayward is our starting left fielder, not Jason Hayward is our starting platoon left fielder. If he's healthy, we'll just plug him into left field.
You asked me before I listened to this, what would you expect Mike Schilt to say about Connor Joe and Jason Hayward?
What he just said.
Exactly that.
Like literally that.
Local kid and Connor Joe. Keyword local.
Plays the game the right way, though.
Plays the game the right way.
Hayward's a
winner.
One in Chicago.
Like, it's
I was with him in St. Louis anymore.
Easy to know when these two players were signed,
so true.
What the talking point was going to be right away. Oh, Connor Joe, local kid. Of course, everyone loves him. Local.
Got a chance to play at home.
Local kid at home. Awesome. Jason Hayward, a winner. Dude's a winner.
Connor Joe and versatility. He can play all over the time. I mean, but when I hear him speak like that, it's like, wait, hold on. So Connor Joe is an everyday player because he's going to DH for you and play some first and play some left. And Jason Hayward's an everyday player because, according to Mike Schill there, he envisions him basically being given the chance to start in left field. That's interesting. I never envisioned that Jason Hayward and Connor Joe were two regulars for the Padres. And I don't know if they will be or not, but I think there's actually a pretty decent scenario. You see a lot of Connor Joe and a lot of Jason Hayward in the upcoming year, as opposed to platooning them.
Like on purpose?
I mean, no, probably out of necessity, at least to start the year.
Yeah.
Maybe he just meant like Hayward would start the platoon. You know, like how remember when they used to have they had that trend of everyone batting the pitcher's eighth.
Yeah.
Because eventually, you know, the ninth batter, he'll be a new leadoff and it won't matter. Maybe he's just going to start the platoon and not necessarily mean that he's going to play every day. He's just going to be the first guy out of the gate.
But I mean, I am a little concerned. I mean, honestly, I was concerned with Hayward and Joe as a platoon. I'm even more concerned if Jason Hayward's playing every day.
Well, don't worry. Whatever happens, Mike Schultz going to be fired up for it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got a gamer.
He's a gamer, winner, local kid. Just like it's okay.
It's amazing. It's amazing, man.
It's in the top 5.
It is truly amazing to cover Mike Schultz. It really is. I envy being that positive. I wish I could be that positive.
You are literally Oppo Schilt.
Yeah.
That's what our listeners think. You
Probably.
are Oppo Schilt. I don't think it's true, but you get labeled as an Oppo Schilt.
People think that at every turn, no matter what, I am always negative.
Yeah, it's like they've won 9 straight. But like, yeah, but they haven't won 10 straight.
Like
you still haven't beaten the Dodgers in the series this year. Yeah, they've won 9 straight games, but not against LA.
It's a classic case of hearing what you want to hear. So you hear me loudly when I'm negative about the team. But when the team does well,
it's just
you
like
never hear it.
In one ear, out the other.
Yeah, it's like Jim's never positive. Like, okay.
Guess what?
I know what I say, and I am.
Well, we're going to hear more of Schilt, not Oppo Schilt. On the other side, what does Mike Schilt think about the state of the Padres rotation? Spiller, he probably doesn't think it's awful. So we'll hear from Mike Schilt on the Padres rotation. Dude. Who's going to start a catcher for San Diego? We'll get into last night in Northern California, San Diego State and San Jose State. All of that transpired. We're here until 6 p.m. If you missed Brian Dutcher postgame with Ted Leitner, you'll hear that as well. Great giveaways. Aztec tickets to give away. Don't go anywhere. We're here until 6. Jon and Jim. All right, San Diego Sports 760, 13 chances to win $1,000 every weekday. It's the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. Every hour, 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. Listen for the keyword at the top of every hour. Then enter it at sportssd.com, presented by Palomar Solar, your trusted partner for solar, batteries, and roofing. If you win, you could maybe give it to the payroll because they can probably use it, as we've been talking about here this offseason. So the Padres have reported, I mean,
well, not fully yet, just pitchers and catchers.
Mike Schultz got the new spring training hat on. He's in full garb, like we're playing today.
Let me ask you this. If today pitchers and catchers is a top 5 day for him, what's position players?
It's top 10.
That's top 10. I would think that's better.
Higher?
That's got to be better than pitchers and catchers.
I mean, maybe. I would love to know his top 5 list. It would be so funny because he'd be like, opening day, pitchers and catchers, position players. They'd be like, Thanksgiving, my mom's birthday. Like, it would be the most ridiculous list ever.
I think there was a huge missed opportunity there from all the beat reporters to follow up with that
like,
question.
What's your list?
Like, give me your top 5, Schulte. If pitchers and catchers are in your top 5, what's your other 4?
Can we hear from Schulte? This is how he started spring training. I mean, I like the positivity and the optimism.
Give it to me.
Pitchers and catchers report to Peoria, and Mike Schultz starts his day by saying this.
I mean, it's like one of the best days of the year, right? It's hard to quantify the best, but it's in the top 5. Pitchers and catchers, we are. You know, people talk about the off season when the pitchers and catchers report. Well, here we are. We're reporting and we're getting after it. So it's an exciting day.
Right. He didn't even say top 5 sports day. He was including the Christmases,
Thanksgiving, birthdays,
and the New Year's.
Yeah,
top 5. Okay.
Super Bowl. Like, this is
that's who I want as my manager. I would hope the manager of my baseball team likes the day that he reports to the job. Actually,
I prefer it.
Yeah.
It's nice, and it's, I think, great content to have that attitude be given every single day at a level of like 100. It's every day.
He brings it,
every day. It's the greatest day ever. This is the greatest day of my life.
Maybe that could be this year's Padres slogan. Padres baseball.
Here we are.
Here we are. I love it.
Yeah, here we are.
What did Kevin Acey say, that their offseason plan maybe is like plan C4?
Yeah,
not
C,
like
subset 4.
B, yeah. All right, I want to hear from Mike Schultz in the starting rotation. Now, the top of the rotation, truthfully, is among the better rotations in baseball. You're talking about Dylan Cease, Michael King, and Yu Darvish with health. Those are 3. You want to have that 1, 2, 3 in some order across baseball by and large. What about the back of the rotation? Here's Mike Schultz.
Start with the established guys, it starts. I mean, Darvish had a really good offseason early, just in general. I'm comfortable and confident that we've won our offseason with our, not only our pitchers, but our position players. But specific to the starters, Darvish has had a really productive offseason, is in a really good spot in every facet. So we got a healthy Darvish going, and Michael, of course, coming off a great year, King, and again, got married or went on his honeymoon after the offseason with it. So that was exciting for him. But Michael's in a great spot, and of course Dylan. I don't know if you've seen the beard, but looking really good and coming off another great year of consistency and did a great job for us. So there's 3 guys that are right at the top that we feel comfortable about and being all equivalent of ones. And then no particular order. You've got Vasquez, who had a lot of opportunities for us last year and got better as the season went, and is clearly competing for a starting job. And then you've got Waldron. I mean, without Matt Waldron, the season didn't end the way he would have liked to. We had a healthier club at the end, and we're clicking with some guys pitching well and returning. But Matt Waldron had a 6-week stretch last year that effectively kept us right in where we were looking to go. And so Matty's going to compete for that job, and Johnny Brito's going to get that opportunity as a starter, and so that'll be good. And then we're going to lengthen out Stephen Kolek and give him an opportunity to start as well, and then we'll take it from there.
Man, he is a great promoter. I am so excited to have this every single day.
I do have one legitimate question.
Yeah,
we talked about this during that soundbite. He said they won the offseason. I would love to know. I'd love him to elaborate on that.
Like who'd they play?
What was the score?
Because you didn't win the postseason, unfortunately.
and you proclaimed that Preller had things up his pants or down his pants and up his sleeves. I think we're still waiting to see that.
Listen, obviously, a lot of this is facetious. Mike Schilt did an amazing job in 2024. I hope he can do it again in 2025. And by the way, it's not all on Mike Schilt. If they go 79 and 83, my first finger pointing isn't going to be like Schilt. He just didn't manage them effectively. Like he's not going to be the guy giving up the 3 runs in the 8th inning. It's not all on Mike Schilt to win 93 games or 83 games or win in the postseason or not win the postseason.
Like especially if this season plays out and they deal with injuries or guys have down years.
It never starts with I don't think it starts or ends with a manager. They play a role.
Yeah.
And it is an important one. But it doesn't start or end automatically with the manager. They play an important role.
Do you think that now in today's game,
today's baseball,
the one thing the one big thing to criticize a manager on has to come with his late game decisions from the bullpen?
That more so than what it used to be in the National League. You'd always talk about like double switching and pinch hitting. It doesn't happen as much. I think bullpen, although some of that is predetermined and pitching coach dependent and front office dependent.
But leaving guys out there for too long or taking guys out too early.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, the most important role of a manager is to point his team in the right direction during like rough patches.
Yep.
Because things over 162, you're together for 6 straight months. It can go sideways.
And there's probably not a better guy to have than Mike Schilt. When things go rough, we all see it except for him. And maybe that's a good thing. And maybe that, not maybe, that was a big part of last year when this thing was kind of just like average.
Yeah.
And Mike Schilt every day was just pumping that positivity train. And every day, it's a great day. It's a great day. It's a great day.
I think it worked.
And I guess it did work. They won 93 games at the best second half in all baseball.
I mean, for them to get from Philadelphia mid-June, Manny Machado says, I'll tear my effing elbow again to get out of the slump. And that was a 500 team that day. They had lost 5 straight.
Yeah.
They were about to get swept in Philadelphia. They were facing who with the Phillies? Ranger Suarez. And his sub-2 ERA was Matt Waldron, Ranger Suarez. He's not kidding when he says Waldron played an important role because he did.
He did.
And they win that game. And it basically, to use an Aztec word, catapults them into a brilliant second half. So there were some rough patches, and Mike Schilt was able to guide them through them in 2024. We'll hear from more of Mike Schilt on the other side. Plus, Ken Rosenthal, the latest on Dylan Cease. Is there a likely trade coming during this spring training or not involving Dylan Cease? Plus, last night in Northern California for the Aztecs. Survive and advance. We're with you here until 6 p.m. Jon and Jim.
This update's brought to you by the San Diego International Airport. San Diego State last night, once again, a wild game against San Jose State. Thanks to a 17-0 run to start the second half, they end up winning 69-66. Next up for the Aztecs, they come back home to take on Boise State Saturday night at Viejas Arena, 7 p.m. tip, 6 p.m. pregame. And tonight, Lakers take on the Jazz. Luka is probable in the game. Game tip time is at 6 p.m. You can listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. The first phase of the new Terminal 1 at San Diego International Airport opens this fall, John. In addition to a new airport experience, the roads around the airport are changing. Please pay attention to roadway signage and drive safely.
All right, we've Aztec basketball tickets to give away for next Tuesday night. That's February 18th, San Diego State, Fresno State, Viejas Arena. Do you want to touch on the Aztecs right here?
What was your concern level at?
First of all, you're an idiot. Let me just start there. Let me start there.
Fine.
Let me start there.
Tell me I'm an idiot.
You texted me when they trailed 17-11.
Go.
Season over, fire everyone.
Okay?
But that's your style. I mean, I know you didn't mean it. I know. So whatever. So you texted that, and then
come on, give it to me.
And then
read it. Come on.
You went along with everyone else on social media.
Read it.
Everyone else.
Read it.
And wrote this at halftime.
Yep.
Okay. Now it's 37-20.
Yeah.
San Jose State in this high school gym with a blue floor. They're playing like the Warriors in 2016.
They have made 6 total field goals in the first half, and they were 0 for what? 12, 13?
13.
0 for 13 from 3.
But this is what he tweets.
Okay.
This is what Jim tweets last night.
Go ahead.
An absolutely embarrassing first half for the hashtag Aztecs. Like people were going to like aggregate his content or something. And then he writes this, and their NCAA tournament hopes quickly fading away.
You're an idiot.
Now that got 24 likes, 3 retweets, and 6 replies. It's been seen by 11,000 people. The replies were, I think those hopes are non-existent unless they win the Mountain West tournament. You then wrote, if they lose to SJSU tonight, then yes, that will be their only path. Then someone said, update Jimmy after the game. Someone said maybe the Aztecs could trade for Luka. Nice try, Jimmy. I know you don't care. This didn't age well. Worst squad San Diego State has floored in the past 17 years. Yet they've had teams that haven't reached the NCAA tournament in the last 17 years. Yada, yada, yada. I then quote tweeted Jim after the game when the Aztecs had this. It honestly was a historic road comeback. And I said, like, then what happened? Of course, you had already retweeted yourself and said, I'm an idiot, but I didn't care. I just wanted to make fun of you. So what would you like to say? Because you got all carried away at the half, and it wasn't just you. I saw everything because I tagged in everything. Aztec fans were losing their mind. But at the end of the day, they came back and won the game.
Are you serious right now?
100%.
Are you serious right now?
I don't know. Serious with what?
Giving me crap for saying that during halftime yesterday?
Nah, I'm not really serious because I know you.
Okay. If you, John Schaefer,
yeah,
are going to be giving anybody crap, it should have been the team on the court.
No, see, I disagree. That's like saying, oh, the Padres are down 8-0 and they win 9-8. Oh, they shouldn't have been down 8-0.
At that moment when I tweeted out during halftime, was there anything in that game that was going positively for the Aztecs?
No.
Okay.
And I watched that whole damn half.
Me too.
I mean, it wasn't good.
It was brutal.
There was like a 6-minute stretch
it was so bad.
Right? It was not good.
But that's their MO this year is they play like crap in the first half and then they make this big epic comeback in the second half.
And I'm not going to be
They were just lulling them into a full sense of security. It was all part of the plan.
I am not going to be caught thinking that they can continue to do this.
Fair.
And then continue to have these great second halves. I'm just not. I would much prefer them to actually put together a good 40 minutes of basketball one time instead of having them in this giant hole like they have been multiple times this year and then having to claw their way out of it. To their credit, they have, but at some point it's going to come back to bite you in the ass.
It absolutely could. There's no question that statement is inarguable, and I agree. But I would say this.
So stop giving me crap for that.
There's 7 games left, and they've done this for 2 months.
I know.
Air Force with Wayne McKinney. How on earth did they win that game? San Jose State at home. How did they win that game? They trailed by 21. Wyoming at home. How did they win that game? They trailed by 18? Last night, trailed by 17. How did they win that game?
Now we can say the first half, as awful and disgusting of a watch as it was.
Yeah, where's your second half?
Was the complete opposite in the second half. There you go.
Yeah.
The second half started with a flurry, 17-0 run. You're like, what the hell just happened?
3 minutes. They scored 17 points. They only scored 20 in the first half.
And then they go back and forth and back and forth. And finally, they actually make their free throws. Talking to JD Luster yesterday, that was a huge talking point with him. He mentioned that he believes that a lot of it is mental. It wasn't pretty. Wayne McKinney, that throw at the end, wasn't pretty.
It was crazy.
It hit every part of that rim, but it went in. That's all that matters. And if they don't go 17 for 22 from the line, there's no way they win that game.
I'd rather see Duke in the opening round of the Mountain West tournament than San Jose State. And I'm only kind of kidding.
I know.
I mean, if San Jose State plays the Aztecs again, that is scary as hell for every Aztec fan. But it's not just San Jose State, because they've been in these games with Wyoming and Air Force. But this is the point I've made. This is why, you know me, nobody really cares, but I was like so anti-expanding the conference schedule. You're just playing the bottom of the league 2 more times. You're being asked to go perfect. I've said this so much against San Jose State, Air Force, Fresno State, Wyoming. You have to go 8-0. If you do not go 8-0 in those 8 games, you're basically on the outside looking in. Right now, it hasn't been easy. They're 6-0.
Yeah.
They have Fresno at home. They have Wyoming on the road, man. It has been as hard as possibly, as possible. But you look up at the end of the day, and they're still very much in the conversation for an at-large tournament berth. Now, they still have work to do. But again, the difference between winning and losing these games is the difference between remaining alive for an at-large berth, and they've won the games. So they've remained alive for the at-large berth.
I love what Dutch said post-game, that he viewed this as one of their best wins of the year. Like, being down by that much at half, playing as awful as they were in the first half, to come back, fight back, and win that game, that's pretty impressive, regardless of who they're playing. Like, that's pretty impressive. And San Jose State has played the Aztecs extremely well this year. Even without Josh Aduje last night, they still look like they didn't miss a beat.
They didn't have 2 starters.
I know.
This Will McClendon, who averages 11 points, out. They looked like the Globetrotters for 20 minutes.
In the first half, yeah.
Do we have Dutch? I don't know how long this is. How long is it, Brent? It's okay. Well, why don't we hear from Brian Dutcher actually on the other side? We'll get back to day one, pitchers and catchers reporting in Peoria as well. What do you got?
I just want to say this. Nick Boyd is officially one of my favorite Aztecs of all time.
Me too. And honestly,
not even close.
He has caught so much flack from Aztec fans.
Really?
For low shooting percentage, or I don't even know. Right? Honestly, he's caught a ton of flack. I've completely disagreed with it all conference season long. He was brilliant in the second half. He's just I don't even know. It's all like cliche, but he's all the cliches combined. Gamer, gritty, baller, tough, hard-nosed.
He is a guy. He's averaging 12 points this year, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Like, that's really good.
He missed 3 months with a broken foot.
Now, again, his field goal percentage isn't that great. 37.3%. He's still shooting 32% from 3.
Yeah.
77% from the line. I'd like those numbers to go up, but it's the intangibles that he brings. And you just you just hear him speak. You can't help but want to run through a wall for this guy.
100%.
He is one of the most gritty players this Aztec program has ever had. And I love Nick Boyd. We talked to Nick Boyd multiple times. Yeah. And after every single conversation with Nick Boyd, I come away with like, I'm so impressed. I believe whatever you tell me, bro, I'm with you.
That's why, like, part of me, listen, I see the trend lines too. I understand they are literally in a high wire act with no net. They're up. Like, if I'm up there, what do they have, that pole on the high wire, but there's no net below you? If you have one wrong move, it's over. You have to win the Mountain West tournament. I mean, it's not literal life or death.
Well, you'd be dead.
I'd be dead.
Yeah.
I'd be 0-40 on a high wire act. But the point is, like, they've navigated it to this point. I mean, why not? I mean, I believe in Nick Boyd, Miles Bird, Brian Dutcher. I just feel as if they'll find a way.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
No, it was not pretty.
But, being down in the hole that deep at half with the way that they were playing, there was no redeemable qualities of the first half. None. Like, zero.
The best part of it was it ended.
Correct.
That was awesome.
Like, they get to go off the court and go to the locker room and regroup. But
do you know what Dutch said? Did you hear what he said? Well, you saw probably what I tweeted.
Well,
we'll hear it on the other side. Is my point.
I heard what he said because I listened to the interview with Ted.
Yeah,
and he kind of, I'm not going to say reminded me of Schilt, but he had that attitude of, there's no point in beating a dead horse at half.
Right. Like we're already down.
Yeah, we're already getting our ass kicked. Might as well
lift them up.
Try to lift these guys up and give them encouragement because they know that they've just played one of the worst halves of the season, maybe the worst half of the season. So to go into halftime and just yell at everybody, tell everybody they suck, probably is counterintuitive.
Yeah, it's a fair point. We'll hear from Brian Dutcher coming up next. We have Aztec tickets for Tuesday to give away. We'll hear from Mike Schilt in Peoria and Kevin Acee back on the show. Padres Insider at 4 p.m. Jon and Jim. The all-new iHeartRadio app is available. Download it in the App Store.
Not to you, though.
True. Search for Jon and Jim, and you can listen to us on demand. Search for San Diego Sports 760. You can listen to the station and the show live. Put it in your presets. The all-new iHeartRadio app.
Do you seriously not have it updated yet?
No, I'll show you my phone at the break. I don't have a new iHeartRadio app. I don't know why.
Bro,
we go to the App Store.
It's been like 2 months.
It's been longer than that. It's been 2 months, yeah. Look, I have 25 updates.
No, okay, let me see. No.
You saw it. I literally gave you my phone. I don't know what to do.
Nothing.
Maybe I need a new iPhone. I don't know. Let's hear from Dutch. I found this to be a really good, entertaining interview and back and forth between Ted Leitner and Brian Dutcher last night. So the Aztecs stormed back. We talked about the first half. The second half was completely different. They started on a 17-0 run. They held off San Jose State. Miles Bird, a big three. Wayne McKinney, a couple of huge free throws late. They survived a 90-foot heave at the buzzer off the rim and won by 3 points. And here was Ted with Dutch postgame.
How you feeling? You okay?
Well, it's a tale of two halves, my friend.
Yes, indeedy.
You know, it's when you're so dysfunctional the first half. They're a big reason for it. I mean, they pressured ball screens, they doubled ball screens, and we kept fighting and turning it over, getting pressured, and let the pressure bother us. And I told him at halftime, if you don't give in, I'll find something that'll work offensively the second half. I promise you. Just don't give in. And we found something that worked offensively. We spread them out a little bit more and quit setting as many ball screens, sent a lot more screen-aways into a ball screen, and did a good job spreading them out and attacking to the basket. And I told him you can only have 3 turnovers the second half. You had like 10 at the halftime,
right,
or 12, 11 or 12. Said you can't have any more turnovers or we're not going to win the game. So I think we might have had 4. I only wanted 3 the second half, but we had 16 for the game. So, and people will say, oh, geez, aren't you worried about the metrics? I said, this is the most beautiful win we've had. Jesus, on the road, 17 down. Everybody's worried about metrics. I'm worried about winning. And we found a way to win. We had another run. We had an 18-0 run this year, a 20-0 run, had a 17-0 run to start the second half.
Yep.
And this team's got grit. That's what I keep saying about them. They don't play perfect, but they don't give in. They play gritty basketball.
They do that. I do that. When you say you told them at halftime, I'm curious because you're not a renter. You're not a Majerus. You're not a Bobby Knight. You've never been like that. And in terms of, was your voice high? Were you screaming, or were you like a professor, like a teacher, which is what you are, a teacher, in telling them these things?
There's no sense to yell. But why would I add to the frustration they're obviously feeling?
Sure.
They're looking to me to, what can we do? You know, and what are we going to do? And it's just, well, we're not going to give in. You promised me you won't give in, and I promise you I'll find something that works. And thank goodness we found it right away in the second half and got on a magnificent run and then fought to the end and came out of here with a gutty win.
Boy, big time. I know that I was going to mention that. And watching you at practice today, the shoot-around, and watching you again at the film, and this film yesterday especially, when you were looking at the 21-point lead they had in the first game and how it happened, and then watching the comeback. And I saw you and your coaches, I heard it. You kept praising, hey, Goon, great play. Hey, Nick, that's a great play. Your positive enforcement and reinforcement, I think, is really, the kind of thing that if I was a player, I'd love to play for that rather than Bobby Knight. Are we ever going to win another game? And the yelling and the screaming I mentioned. And all of your coaches were doing that in the last couple of film sessions for that positive reinforcement. Like you say, why beat on them? They're trying. It's not happening. And I thought that really was a great thing, Dutch. It really made me feel good to see how you treat your players.
Yeah, we can't lie to them, Ted. We can tell them the truth without yelling.
Right.
Tell them when they're good. Tell them when they're not good. And just say that's what we're here for. We're here to teach you basketball. And sometimes you can't worry about how the message is delivered. Sometimes it's stern. Sometimes with an arm around you. But we're going to be honest with you, and we were. And how about free throws tonight?
Oh.
You know, we missed them against Colorado State and probably cost us the game. 17 for 22. They're 3 for 10. And that's the difference in the game again. Our ability to make them and their inability to make them.
You've been you had a rebound edge of 7. You got 16 offensive rebounds, all the things you told them, and I heard you tell them. You got a rebound tonight. You got to make shots. The one thing you do tell them, don't fall in love with the three. They do that, and they shoot a lot of threes when they could be, going in, play inside out with the big guys that you have. But overall, in terms of what they had to do on free throws and rebounding and offensive rebounding, they, in fact, with that grit that you talked about, got it done. I'm curious what the electricity was on the bench during that 17-0 run. It was one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was great energy. Players were up, and the refs were telling them to sit down, and that's what they do. But it's like if they're celebrating their teammates in a good way, then I don't mind the ref telling them to sit out. I want them engaged in the game on the bench and supporting one another.
Wayne McKinney goes to the line. And how many one-on-ones start the front did you miss against Colorado State? Obviously, people were thinking that. And Wayne has the first one bounce high. Another bounce goes in. And I thought, well, the big Aztec in the sky is watching the boys today. This ain't Colorado State. And then they were on their way.
Yep. Gutty win, Ted, and now we got to go back and play Boise, who were tied within the standings at home. They're on an 8-day break. They've had their bye week. So I'm sure they'll be fresh and ready, and so will we. Even though we played, we will find a way to be fresh and ready in Viejas, and we need our Aztec fans out there, which will be a very competitive game against Boise State.
All right. So, never in doubt. Easy win.
Yeah, it was fine. Not stressful at all.
Yeah.
Totally fine win.
It's been stressful.
I did like I said, Dutch there. We're going to tell them the truth, but there's no point in yelling and raising our voices like, hey, you guys, that first half was awful. They know it. It's how you communicate to your team the message more so than your tone of voice, right? So if you tell your team, if you're honest with them, I think they're going to respect that more than you screaming and yelling and just trying to put everybody down.
How many times though do we need to say this? I think two things can be true. They're not as old as they've been previously. This isn't going to be the 2020, 30-2 team or some of these teams that, went 28-4 or whatever in regular seasons. But that doesn't mean they're not super talented, that it hasn't been entertaining, and that they're not capable of at least reaching the NCAA tournament. We said from day one, Jim, though it'll be a roller coaster. I mean, how many times do we say that? We didn't even know the roller coaster they were going to be on. Yeah, the Houston Creighton thing. I think the problem with playing like that early is people expect you to play like that all year. But they beat Houston and Creighton. It counts. Like that counts. Yeah. Have they played to that level all season? No, obviously. That wouldn't be an accurate statement. But you look up and what's the record? What is the record? 16-6? 9-4 in the Mountain West?
Yeah.
Houston, Creighton, at Boise, at Nevada, they got good wins. They don't have many bad losses. I think you could argue they have one. It's against UNLV at home. That's their one. So this young team that replaced their top 7 scorers from last year has played 22 games, and one of them is a bad loss. I mean, what else are you really asking for? Nobody went into the year saying they're going to be if they're not 20-2, I'm selling my season tickets. Like, what did people think? I don't think people thought they'd be better than 16-6 right now, if they were being honest with you.
So what's the remaining landmines on their schedule
The
here,
landmines are Fresno at home.
Yep.
Wyoming on the road. What else? UNLV on the road. Nevada at home. Although Nevada's metrics are fine. But yeah, here's how I look at it. If you go 5-2 with losses to at Utah State and one of the New Mexico or Boise State at home, that may be enough. It may not be. You might have to do work in the Mountain West tournament. If you go 6-1, they're going to the NCAA tournament, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they get to the Mountain West Conference tournament as like the 4 or 3 seed.
At that point, 2 or 3 seed. If they went 6-1,
yeah, that's right. But then you'd probably be facing like San Jose State. Like
I don't want to see that. Then I'd rather lose more games and do that. All right, we're gonna get back to Mike Schilt on the other side. Day 1, pitchers and catchers have reported. We'll hear more from Mike Schilt. Plus, what are Kevin Acey's biggest storylines heading into this 2025 spring training? He has written about it. He will join us coming up at 4 p.m. We're here until 6 p.m. tonight. Hour 2, Jon and Jim coming up next.
This update is brought to you by the San Diego International Airport. San Diego State beat San Jose State last night, having a 17-0 run to start the second half. They won 69-66. Next up for the Aztecs, they come home to take on Boise State this Saturday night at Viejas Arena, 7 p.m. tip, 6 p.m. pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. And tonight we have Lakers basketball on the station as they take on the Utah Jazz once again. Luka is probable for the game. Tip time is at 6. The first phase of the new Terminal 1 at San Diego International Airport opens this fall. In addition to a new airport experience, the roads around the airport are changing. Please pay attention to roadway signage and drive safely.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 2 of Jon and Jim. Kevin AC will join us in 1 hour from Peoria, Arizona, where pitchers and catchers, not just one of the groups, both of the groups reported today. Pitchers and catchers have reported for the Padres. We'll give away Aztec tickets in the 4 o'clock hour. We have Australian Pink Floyd tickets. We have Warren Haynes Band tickets to give away. So lots of giveaways. Kevin AC coming up at 4 p.m. Now, Kevin wrote about the storylines. Did you see what Kevin wrote today by chance? Arguably. What do you think? Here, let's play.
Well, we had Kevin on the other day, and he told us what the storylines were going to be.
Okay, so what are the storylines?
Xander Bogaerts.
Correct.
Pitching depth.
Yeah.
Left field.
Correct.
Also, their depth as a team.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do you got?
He's got back of the bullpen.
Okay.
Fernando Tatis Jr. says he's 100% after missing 2.5 months. Manny Machado, is he fully healthy? And Leo DeVries is one of the storylines. The Padres' top prospect, who turned 18 in October, is in big league camp for the first time. He figures to get a lot of playing time at short in what is likely his prequel spring training, much like the spring of 2023 was for Merrill before he burst onto the scene for real last year. How about that? So an 18-year-old, Leo DeVries, according to Kevin, is in his prequel. And next year, as a 19-year-old, will be fighting for an everyday spot with the Padres. Interesting. An interesting storyline to fast forward to.
I'd be much more interested if he was fighting for a roster spot now.
I agree. But he's 18. I mean,
at this point, it'll be fun to watch DeVries.
Yes.
And
all spring, if he gets 30 at bats or something, that'll be good.
Yeah, that'd be great. And to see him out there showing his talents, hitting a couple home runs, a couple wow moments, that'd be great. Dude's not making the club, so my excitement level for that fully isn't at its peak.
Yeah, I agree.
As it would be if it was like last year with Jackson Merrill. I was so fixated, and we were both fixated on every day what Jackson Merrill was doing. Every day last year, we were talking about Jackson Merrill.
Do you think we did? That was most of our spring. You're right. Do you think next year, I mean, just for fodder, do you think the question is, do both break camp with the Padres? Is it Salas DeVries' time? Is that going to be the storyline next spring? Will they both have a chance to make the team?
That only happens if they both have pretty decent to good years in the minors this year. If Salas puts up another year with a sub 600 OPS, I just don't know how you can all of a sudden make that jump.
Right. Hey, he's ready.
Yeah. I need to see something. I'm sorry. I just need to see something from his bat.
Right.
Defensively, if you want to say he's ready, okay, great. But you can go out and get a defensive catcher
absolutely
for nothing.
They've proven it. Yep.
The whole point of Ethan Salas being Ethan Salas and his high prospect ranking is
he can hit.
So he could hit.
Yeah.
If you can't hit, I don't know. Because you can go out and find defensive catchers that are maybe a little less than him, but still serviceable and get the job done. I need Ethan Salas to hit before I am fully in on making him the everyday catcher in the future.
Which is not going to be this year. We have this Brent the sound on starting catching from Mike Schilt. Obviously, Ethan Salas isn't making this team. They've set themselves up with Martin Maldonado and Brett Sullivan and Luis Campusano. I mean, they've got catchers already. Ethan Salas has no shot. I mean, he could hit 923 this spring, which would be good.
Be pretty good.
He's not making this
he's
team
not.
out of camp.
No, he shouldn't.
And he shouldn't. So let's hear from Mike Schilt, because it wasn't just pitchers that reported. These guys reported too, the catchers.
I mean, listen, we've got good catching competition. That's healthy. We got competition in this camp, which I love. He's mentioned the starting rotation. There's competition there. There's competition with the catchers. I mean, clearly we, signed Diaz to play, and rightfully so. All-Star 2 years ago, All-Star MVP. Came up last year, helped us, contributed. So, clearly, he's going to be a part of the mix. But, you look at Campy, and Campy was, similar to Matt Waldron. You look at the numbers with Campy on, you can evaluate catchers a lot of different ways, clearly. But, one of the ways that we evaluate a lot of what we do is if we win or not. And if you look at Campy's record his one-loss record, it's pretty darn good. And there's a lot of factors to that, clearly. But point being is Campy had a good year for us. And at the end of the year, we get Diaz in. And, but we look back at the body of work, and it was productive for Campy. So we expect him to, like I mentioned, and, like FanFest, had a good offseason, went to winter ball, Dominican, and played. And it's in a good spot to come in and compete for playing time like he got last year. And then you're talking about, Brett Sullivan came up, helped us out. Been a guy in the organization up and down for the last couple of years that has done a nice job for us. Again, went to winter ball, worked on his game. So Sully's guy that's in that mix. And we just signed a guy that's won 2 World Series with Maldonado that's really hungry still after 13 years in this at this level. So it's going to be a really healthy competition, and we're excited about it.
I think Schulte forgot the fact that Martin Maldonado sucks. Sorry, I just had to say that.
No, I mean, listen, if you're Mike Schilt, if you're not optimistic on day one of spring training, all the team should be.
Yeah, you have to be.
Bud Black should be saying complimentary things about the Rockies right now, too.
I don't think he's going to spring training and be like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, like we got no shot. So
who's the A's manager? Mark Kotze?
Yes, I think that's right.
Now, the A's actually put together a pretty decent.
You want to break down their offseason?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of, who's the White Sox manager? Oh, Will Venable, right? Good old friend Will Venable.
Okay.
Of course he's going
is he going to camp thinking like, hey, this is our year?
He's going to be fired up. Who's the manager of the Marlins? Some rando?
Skip Schumacher.
I don't think he's fired up. Did you see, real quick,
Clayton McCullough?
Are we alive back there?
The pictures of Marlins, I guess, Fan Fest?
Was anyone there?
There were 50 people there.
No.
50 people.
That many?
Yeah.
That goes back to my point. The point being
people,
that
dude.
We shouldn't take for granted what's been like cultivated here. I mean, a lot of Padres fans have seen it when it wasn't this, and now they've seen it when it is this. Now, it was never Miami. I mean, San Diego, even its worst days, was never drawn 50 people to events. But, like, don't take this for granted.
Yeah.
Even with everything, even with the headwinds, even with the lawsuit, even with the payroll coming down, even with the Juan Soto trade a year ago, and even with Jerks and Profar not returning, you get my point. They didn't land Roki. Yeah, has it been perfect? No, it hasn't. But it could be a lot worse. I mean, the Rockies have been in no man's land for forever. The Marlins have been irrelevant now for forever. Now, they do have 2 rings, historically, which I think has value, but apparently not to its fan base because they don't have any fans.
No.
So, could it be better? Yeah. It could. I mean, look at what the Dodgers have done. It could be better. Yep. But could it be worse? Yeah. There's a lot of teams. Pittsburgh. I mean, Baltimore we talked about last year. Nobody's at their games. They're winning games. So it could be a lot worse. It really could.
It could be way worse. And that's why the emphasis of winning now is so important. Because eventually, as the, ups and downs go for franchises that aren't the Dodgers or the Yankees or the teams that are going to spend a bunch of money, eventually, guess what? Manny's not going to be here anymore. Toddy's going to be older. Jackson Merrill, got to get locked up first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joe Musgrove, Darvish, King, Cease, those guys aren't going to be here. So to win now is so important. And it's a credit going back to what you said about the interest level with this team, dude, incredible. The interest level in this team in this town is amazing. We see it because of all the content we put out and how much people watch and
100%.
consume it. Like, dude, it's incredible. The that they have taken, and Peter was the very first to really take this to another level of interest. And yeah, it helps that they're the only team in town. They don't have to compete with an NFL team or an NBA team. But
it doesn't guarantee it, because I mean,
no,
look at the other side of the coin in Oakland. Now I get it; that's truly the other side. As bad as Oakland is, it's kind of like as good as San Diego. But I mean, as bad as it was, because they were in Oakland with no Raiders, they were in Oakland with no Warriors, and they were so just because they're the only team in town, that's not a guarantee.
No, it's not.
It's not a guarantee.
And it starts with because they're the only team in town for a little bit, and there wasn't this much interest level in them.
You're saying right after the Chargers, like 17, 18?
Yeah. And then they decided, okay, we need to step up here. And they signed Hosmer. That didn't work out.
Yep.
But that was like the start of like interest level peaking. And then once you get Manny, everything changes. And then you have Tatis, you sign him to a long-term deal. You have, just all the moves they've made in the last 5-6 years to really put this team at the forefront of everybody's mind in this town is really impressive.
My long view, like this is a different conversation, and we'll see how this lawsuit plays out. We'll see if this team stays in the Seidler's hands long term. My long view on the Padres is ultra high in terms of positive. Like the future projections for this franchise in this city with this support and this fan base. Like if I'm looking at the next generation of Padres fans, I think you got a lot to look forward to. In the here and now, there's some rough waters. There really are in 2025, but having seen how this decade has played out, the way this team did spend, the way this team has been supported, like I'm really high on their future in terms of what's possible over the next generation. But in the here and now, you don't necessarily feel that. Like in 2025, knowing that the Dodgers won the World Series in 2024, I'm not like, oh, it's just a matter of time the Padres are going to break through. I think with the long view, I do think the Padres like have a very bright horizon for them. I really do believe that. I just don't know if it's going to occur with this unit. Manny Machado in his prime, Xander Bogaerts, the whole lawsuit stuff, what's going on with the Dodgers, so they're always competitive. I think the Padres at some point break through. I just don't know if it's in the here and now.
And for better, which is right now with Manny Machado, or for worse, when Manny Machado's contract and his age just it was awful. Same with Xander. They are going to be a relevant franchise because they have the star power that the Marlins don't have. I mean, the Pirates, if I'm covering the Pirates, all I'm talking about every day is Paul Skeens. Like every day.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, hey, when's Paul Skeens going to pitch and put the pressure on the organization to sign Paul Skeens to a long-term contract? That's all I would care about. But without Paul Skeens, nothing really there with the Pirates. So thankfully here, you got the guys like Manny and Toddy and Xander and Jackson Merrill and Darvish and Musgrove and King and Cease, all of those players to help cultivate a fan base and really have an interest level that has peaked like you have never seen before in this town, unless you're talking about World Series runs in the 80s and the 90s.
I agree. All right, on the other side, more from Mike Schilt on this, the first day of spring training for the Padres, and Kevin Acee will join us from Peoria coming up at 4 p.m., plus a chance to win Aztec basketball tickets for Tuesday night. Coming up, we're here until 6, Jon and Jim. AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future, but we need your help. Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. Kevin Acee will join us at 4 p.m. Shohei Ohtani has spoke with the media. This was not in Peoria, presumably.
You know what I had to do yesterday? I had to mute the MLB X account
because it was all we're back with Ohtani, right?
No, it was look at Roki and his new Dodger gear. Roki throws a bullpen.
Right.
I just can't. It's like
So you just muted the entire account.
It's like when you have an X and you can't look at or you don't want to look at all their stuff because you just consumes your time.
Is Roki our X, or was it more like our
one that got away?
Yeah, maybe the one that got away. But like, did we ever? I guess they dated.
Did we
ever flirted. Well, yeah, they did sushi at Manny's house.
We hooked up, bro.
Yeah,
we had a fun time.
I know, but
a great night together.
Well, that's what we thought.
Yeah,
he didn't think the same thing.
We thought this was going to turn into like more of a long-term thing, and it didn't.
And now he's with your best friend.
It's a one-night stand, and now I got to mute you, bro. I can't see your content. I can't see Roki in Dodgers gear throwing bullpens because in my mind, that should have been us.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I don't care about Ohtani.
You don't care about Ohtani?
No, I care about seeing Roki.
So you're cool with Ohtani. You're cool with Ohtani. Content?
No, well, it doesn't sting me the same way Roki content does because he never was close to being a Padre.
No, I know, but here's my point on Ohtani. So he spoke with the media today. He's throwing a bullpen this weekend, and he could be on the mound in a major league game before May. The expectation will be there by May.
Oh, great.
It could be before May. So this is Shohei Ohtani coming off, I don't know if you realize this, the first 50-50 season in baseball history. I don't know if anyone referenced
I didn't know that.
Wow. And of course, he had the greatest game in baseball history in Marlins Park.
I did see that he hit a home run off a position player that game
in front of 50 people.
Yeah.
So Shohei Ohtani, in speaking with the media, says that there is a path back to the mound at some point in May, potentially sooner, as he begins his ramp up. Of course, didn't pitch last year, but had that absurd offensive season. Dave Roberts didn't have a start date yet for Ohtani, but could be pitching sooner rather than later. He will not pitch in Cactus League games. Does that change the calculus at all on their 2025 Ohtani back on the mound? I mean, they didn't even need him on the mound in 2024. So does it change it anyway?
Did you see Yamamoto and Sasaki will pitch both games in Japan this year for them?
Makes sense.
Yeah. It would have been nice if Darvish pitched against Yamamoto in Seoul, Korea. But anyway, I digress.
Right.
It matters from a standpoint of eventually he'll be out there. And if he is fully operational by the time the postseason comes around, that could be a problem with a healthy Ohtani, and the rest of the rotation is up in the air because they got a bunch of guys that don't pitch many innings, and they have an organization that deals with a lot of injuries to their starting pitching. But they got a bunch of depth to back it up. If one guy goes down, here comes Blake Snell, or here comes Shohei.
The most interesting part of what the Dodgers are able to do compared to every other team in baseball, in my opinion, is they can just plan it out. Like the 162 don't even matter.
Yeah.
They're almost like, there's a little bit of Chiefs in that where it's like they're just kind of slow playing it until the postseason, or there's a little bit of NBA in there where it's like, you don't need your stars for 82. So let's get this guy on the floor for 55, but ramp it up. When we really need LeBron and Luka, let's just have them ready to go. It's like all the plans are made for April for some teams in the NBA. With the Dodgers, this is kind of rare, in the history of baseball. The 162 is just a formality, but with the expanded playoff and as good as they are, of course they're going to be in the postseason. So it's like you plan everything out meticulously. You intentionally have put Clayton Kershaw on the IL. You intentionally give Ohtani a skip or two in the rotation. They do things differently because they have the luxury of knowing they fought a bet at 100 wins.
It's like the Warriors year 2 with Kevin Durant.
Everything was planned out.
After they won the title with KD, they went 15 or 16-1 in the postseason, one of the best postseasons ever. Yep. And the next year, They won like 60 something games, but they were sleepwalking a lot to that season. And they get to the playoffs, and they weren't the 1 seed, but they were the best team.
Yep.
And then they flipped the switch. Now they were down 3-1 to the Rockets. They came back and won that series, but it was harder for them to get up.
Mm-hmm.
And they were sleepwalking through. And they're the best team, clearly. I don't think that's going to happen with the Dodgers. I think they're going to just fall into bed with 100+ wins without even fully trying. I think.
Yeah, I'm not even going to care though. Like, let's say you look up at one point. Let's say they're 30-20, which again isn't a historical pace. They're playing 600 baseball. It was good, right? I mean, I would take the Padres being 30-20 right now. But let's say they're 30-20. And I'm making it up. They're a game up on the division over San Diego or over Arizona. But I'm not gonna fall for that trap right there.
No,
I'm just not gonna, because every year, or for the last decade, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe not last year, but every year there's that 14-1 stretch, 22-2 stretch. So it's like, yeah, they could start 30-20. Who cares? Then they're going to go 30-13 over the next 43 games.
Yeah, with the way the Dodgers played last year in September, there was hope.
Yep.
That I thought the Padres could really catch them, and there was a moment in the series towards the end of the year where you're like, you put together a good series here, then you got a shot. Like they had the triple play the game 1, and then game 2 they lost. Dodgers clinched. Game 3 meant nothing.
Yeah, that was with 5 games left in the regular season.
But there was still like an outside shot.
Yep.
I don't think is going to be any moment this year where I'm looking at where the Dodgers are in the standings compared to where the Padres are, because to me, they just don't mean anything until the postseason. I don't care. Dodgers are going to win the division. They're going to win 100 games. They're making the postseason. I'll be looking at the Braves, the Mets, the Phillies, the D-backs way more intently this year than I will ever be looking at the Dodgers.
Yeah, like, again, we all can fall for traps, but I'm not. If I fall for it, Jim, correct me on air.
Slap you.
I'm not having the Padres are 6-4, the Dodgers are 5-5 talk. I'm not doing that.
No.
You know, I mean, that's just insane. And I'm not doing it at 30-20. I'll do it in September, to your point. If they're 2 out with 9 to, I mean, we'd be idiots.
Of course.
Not to talk about it, or 2. But to do it in June, no, I just think it's fool's gold. And we've gone down this path. I did it in 2020, the stupid 60-game season. Oh, they're right there for the division. Didn't take it. 2024, maybe they could do it. They didn't do it. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I don't think, I'm not worried about that. It's always been my point in the expanded playoff era. I'm worried about them getting in.
Yeah. The Dodgers could win 130 games this year, and I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, that shouldn't happen.
I know. I'm just throwing out a massive number just to prove a point of, I just don't care. I won't care because it's not about them. It's not. Now, postseason comes around. Yeah, absolutely. Lock in. But in the regular season, dude, they could rip off 20 in a row. Okay, that's great. What are the D-backs doing? What are the Phillies doing? What are the Mets doing? Way more focused on those teams than the Dodgers. Dodgers to me are over here in their own little universe.
Yep.
They're putting them in right now. Like, just get it over with. What are the other teams the Padres are going to compete with doing? Yeah, that's what I care about more.
Yeah, like the 10-year Tiger run. He made the cut. Like, don't worry about him not making it. Or don't even worry about him the first couple of days of a major. All right. On the other side, Ken Rosenthal weighing in on the Padres rotation and if a Dylan Cease trade is likely or not. We'll hear directly from Ken Rosenthal on the other side. Kevin Acee from Peoria joins the show at 4 p.m. right here on Jon and Jim.
This update is brought to you by the San Diego International Airport. San Diego State survive once again last night over San Jose State, thanks to a 17-0 run to start the second half. They won 69-66. Next up for the Aztecs, they come back home to take on Boise State Saturday night at Viejas Arena. 7 p.m. tip, 6 p.m. pregame. And Lakers, they take on the Jazz tonight once again in Utah. Luka is probable for the game. You can listen to that game right here at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. The first phase of the new Terminal 1 at San Diego International Airport opens this fall. In addition to a new airport experience, the roads around the airport are changing. Please pay attention to roadway signage and drive safely.
All right, so Kevin Acee will join us in less than 30 minutes at 4 p.m. Ken Rosenthal has a podcast. Who doesn't?
Does he have a podcast, or is he on foul territory?
I think that's a podcast. Well, how do you consume that? Is it on television?
Hold on, pause.
Is it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, John.
That's a podcast. It's being cast.
But he doesn't have one, per se. He's
Whatever.
on one.
It's his podcast, dude. Whatever.
No.
He has a content channel.
It's not.
Whose is it?
Foul territory, so it's not his.
He's like the star, dude.
He's like their insider, dude.
Okay, so Ken Rosenthal is an insider on a podcast on YouTube. And there's actually decent insight on this pretty often because we play it.
I think it's great. I think it's also, I don't know if it's run by baseball, but it's
not run by baseball.
But it's the baseball influence there. They get some big name guests. I like in the baseball world.
Right. Okay, so Ken Rosenthal today, Foul Territory, whatever channel, discussing if a Dylan Cease trade makes sense.
The Orioles and Padres would appear to be a match if the Orioles are intent on acquiring another starting pitcher. And I would think that if they could acquire one, it would have to be someone along the lines of Dylan Cease. They have enough bodies. They have actually a plethora of rotation candidates when you look at who they've acquired, Charlie Morton and Sagano, in addition to, of course, Grayson Rodriguez and Zach Eflin. And they've got Dean Kramer returning as well. Bradish and Tyler Wells come back at midseason. Trevor Rogers starts the year at AAA with some of the other prospects. They have numbers. Do they have the top of the rotation guy that they had last year in Burns? That's the question. So what I wrote about was their seeming glut of outfielders as well, but I don't know that they see it as a glut, and they see it as depth. And the addition of Ramon Laureano did not necessarily signal a trade. It just gave them another alternative out there. And keep in mind, Tyler O'Neill's had a long injury history, and who knows if he'll stay healthy. So the real question here is, what are the Padres going to do? And that's the question we don't really know the answer to. AJ Preller is always going to listen on potential free agents like Cease. We know that he does not operate by the calendar his peers in executive offices operate by. He will make trades at any time of year. I just don't know if they see trading Cease or trading Michael King or trading Arise or even Robert Suarez, who probably is the most likely to go, is something that they need to do. We don't know if they need to do it financially. We don't know what they're thinking along the lines of their prospects and if they want to improve their prospect base. Seems to me AJ Preller wants to compete. He's got a really good team this year. So if they trade Cease, it would have to be something along the lines, I would imagine, of the Juan Soto trade. Now, they're not going to get that much back, of course, but they would want a good amount back and some pieces that would help them in the major leagues this year. The Orioles have guys that they could trade. I'm just not sure I see this coming together.
Yeah, I've never sensed that he wants to trade Dylan Cease, and I feel like the only way that he does is if he gets what he wants and he gets a haul. That's it.
I still think, like what he said there was like, of the most likely candidates, maybe it's Robert Suarez. I still think there's a payroll crunch, and I still think that the Padres have expectations to be good. Two things. They have a good core. They expect to be good, contend for a playoff spot, and they're over the CBT. The over the CBT thing still doesn't make sense to me. There's no workaround. They're over the CBT.
But don't you think that they would have done it already?
No, not really. No.
From a standpoint of, all right, they need to get, say they have a directive to get below the CBT number.
Yep.
All right. and you still need to make other roster moves to improve your team. Why wait till the last moment? Why not do this right away? You've known the directive for a while now. It's not like they sprung this on you last week. You've known what the numbers are. So with how long he's known that for, why not act in a way that gives you enough time to do it? I think there's actually a better possibility they just go into the season how it's constructed right now.
Well, Ken Rosenthal just said AJ operates on his own timeline. And B, it's February 12th. I mean, there's plenty of time to make a trade and make acquisitions. And you're still in front of opening day. And I think they proved a year ago that they're not overly concerned with timelines with cease and arise. Now you bring up a fair point that if they're trying to get under the number, why don't they just get under the number?
Yeah.
Like if there's a directive to get under the number, go get under the number. If there's not a directive to get under the number, credit John Seidler.
Yep.
Like if that's not, now again, I haven't heard from John Seidler. I've heard Mike Schill tell me this is one of his favorite days in the Lunar New Year, whatever he said today. But I haven't heard from John Seidler. It's not his fault, maybe. I guess he's not the chairman officially until a few weeks from now. But because we don't hear from anyone directly, we're left to speculate.
Yep.
And when your mind starts wandering, you can go in some weird places. Now, I think the reporting from Dennis and Kevin, Ken Rosenthal, and others is probably accurate that they don't want to go over the CBT. So I still believe they're going to get under the CBT. I don't know why they haven't done it as of yet. I just still think they're going to get under.
Well, there's a question for Kevin.
What's the question? Is there a directive to get under the CBT?
Or is your understanding from how the Padres are operating this offseason, do you believe that they want to be under the CBT by X date? Or does that not mean as much as it maybe meant a couple months ago?
My question would be, why wouldn't it matter? And the reason I say that is last year they got under the CBT. Now, there was a belief maybe last year what was being spun to us was reset the CBT so you can go back over. But if the plan, Jim, all along was to go over the CBT, why are you signing Connor Joe and Jason Hayward and Elias Diaz?
Exactly.
For no money.
Right.
So if that was accurate, what was being sold to some extent, hey, they're going to go back over. If they're going to go back over, to counter your point, why wouldn't they have already gone over?
And why wouldn't you have signed just Jerks and Profar?
Exactly.
Because there's different levels here.
Yep.
So I don't have the number in front of me, but the first one is what, 242?
Oh, I got you. You're right. There's like 3 CBT numbers. The first one is an X dollar penalty. The second is more, and the third's the most.
So if that's the case,
this would be the first one to go.
Then I'll be even more confused when you put it that way.
Right.
If they're just fine with being over the CBT this year,
right,
then why not have gone and signed Profar to 14 a year? Like, well, if you're going over, just go over. Who cares? Right.
Right. It's like you're already over.
Like, let's look at the thresholds. CBT MLB thresholds. See who finds it first. Probably you, because my computer sucks.
Your computer does suck, dude.
All right. Competitive balance tax glossary. It's the first thing.
I think it's 237.
225. But I'm looking at like the next level.
Oh, they're nowhere near the next level.
Okay.
Yeah, they're nowhere near. It's like another 50 million per year.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So if you're going over, if they're going to be over by 2 million,
it doesn't even matter, right?
Why not be over by then 10 million? Who cares? You're over it. If you're over, you're over.
Right.
So that to me would make no sense. I would understand. Okay, you got to be under, and then they'd be under it again. Like, okay, yeah, they would never get Profar. But if they're going to be over, it's like going to a store. And you see 2 televisions. One's $300, the other's $350. It's like, just buy the one that's $350. Who cares?
So I have it. The tax threshold is 241, and then the first surcharge is at 261. So there's 20 million of wiggle room. It's not 50, but that would still fit something like Jerks and Profar in. Yeah. Now it would tighten it up. It would tighten it up. But I mean, you make an interesting point. So they were over. I'm looking at it right now. They're over in 2022 by $1 million. The Padres. They're over in 2023 by $40 million, the most in baseball, according to Wikipedia. Yeah. And then this past year, they were under, and there were teams that blew through the number, including the Dodgers and the Mets, right? Mm-hmm. So again, there was a little bit of belief a year ago. They want to reset this tax for a willingness to go over in 2025. I do not buy that on the 12th day of February this year because of the way they've gone about their offseason.
Yeah, if they were okay with going over, then there's no point in waiting as long as they have waited
to spend money
to then all of a sudden just sign Connor Joe and Jason Hayward and Elias Diaz.
Yeah, because the top 70 free agents by and large are gone.
Like, if you're going to go over, just go for it.
Yeah.
Bring back the guys that, Manny called you out on. And credit to Manny. Manny, he was as honest as they come, and good on him. They needed to be called out. Now, I don't know if the calling out of Manny for the organization resulted in them being like, we got to make a move to sign Jason Hayward.
Right.
I don't think so.
Are you saying what Manny said at FanFest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
How he was disappointed.
Yeah.
Because you lost a key piece to their team.
Yeah, like a heart and soul guy.
Yeah, grit. It just, Profar brought so much to the table that they're going to miss this year. And hopefully they can replace it in other ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they're going to just go over this year by a couple million, then why not go over by 10? What are we doing?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. All right, Kevin AC, we can ask him that coming up at 4 p.m. Also, there were some pretty fascinating comments with spring training opening around baseball from Garrett Cole of the Yankees on Juan Soto leaving the Yankees for the Mets. What Garrett Cole had to say about that deal, plus Kevin AC at 4 p.m., plus 3 giveaways in the final 2 hours of the show, including San Diego State tickets for next Tuesday night against Fresno State at Viejas Arena here on Jon and Jim. All right, Aztec basketball tickets will give away in the 4 o'clock hour. Kevin AC, Padres fans, will join us in 13 minutes. Day one thoughts from Peoria. It's like that first day of school, and you know your buddies. Like,
top 5 day of the year, bro.
Was day one of school a top 5 day? No, it was like a bottom 5.
It depends.
The weather's nice still. Yeah, you're going to see your buddies, but it's a new grade.
If we were all in the same class, then it was
That's
awesome.
cool. Yeah, you had the right teacher. Like, there were 2 teachers, one's good, one bad, and you have the good one.
Yeah, if we're all in the same
but it was awful though, because it meant summer was over. You could see your friends in the summer. It's not like you
it wasn't
went
great.
Friendless the whole summer. It meant that now you're stuck in school for 9 months or however long it is.
But stay in school.
That's one of the worst.
Yeah, don't
drop out.
Don't drop out of school.
Unless you're a really good athlete.
Stay in school, boys and
You're
girls.
homeschooled.
All right, so Garrett Cole, right?
I've heard of him.
Look at you guys. So he had to say this. So Juan Soto leaves the Yankees for the Mets, right? Crosstown, spurns the Yankees.
Wait,
kind of
what?
an incredible deal. Did you hear this?
How much?
It's like when you say on Tuesday after the Super Bowl, the Eagles beat the Chiefs. Yeah, we know. So Juan Soto leaves. What do you get? Seriously, I don't even remember. What do you get? 6?
No, we got like 750
That's ridiculous.
with the opportunity to go like to over 800.
What do you think Garrett Cole said about that? Have you seen it?
I've not. What do you say?
What would be your guess?
Good for him.
It's good for the game.
Oh,
So the richest contract in baseball history, according to Garrett Cole, who at one point was the richest pitcher in the history of the sport, right? Had the largest deal in the history of the sport.
that is
Yeah.
correct.
He says it's good for the game. And here's the thing. I agree. And the reason I say it, now I don't know if it's good for teams like the Padres who've tried to do this. They tried this game under Peter. The reason I think it's good for the game is that it's just good for the players. Like when Juan Soto gets this and Shohei Ohtani gets that, it trickles down. And then someone like Jerkson Profar gets what they ultimately probably deserve. Like Profar has a good year. Why should he get 1 year, $5 million or something like that? That doesn't seem right. Now, again, I'm not comparing the Profar deal to the Soto deal. They're nowhere close. But honestly, like Profar off last year shouldn't have to settle for some 1 year deal. And he gets what's right. He got the 3 years, $42 million. So I don't have a problem with Garrett Cole saying Juan Soto getting $700 million. And I think a lot of fans probably don't like it, truthfully. If you're not in LA or New York, I think a lot of people are turned off by it. I'm not. I don't have a problem with players that have earned it getting paid. I think it's good for the players, which ultimately probably isn't a problem for the sport.
I agree with that. Yes, good for the players.
Right.
Good for Juan Soto. Get all the money you possibly can out of the owners for sure, because there's no cap. Get all of it. But what it does is it takes out 95% of the sport from being able to sign guys like Juan Soto in the future.
Well, that goes to our point, like the chicken egg point. Is it true that only 1 or 2 or 3 teams can do that? Or is it true that only 1 or 2 or 3 teams are willing to do that?
Probably both.
Right.
Both
We'll never really know.
are.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the Blue Jays that were in on Juan Soto.
Mm-hmm. There were a few other teams. Dodgers.
Yeah. But it wasn't, you didn't see the list of teams that were in on him, like the Marlins and the Pirates,
Pittsburgh,
the Royals.
No, you didn't. You're right. So you're right. I mean, 2/3 of the teams you can take off the list at probably the $100 million price tag. You said something yesterday about like the Pirates haven't signed a free agent to a multi-year deal in like 15 years.
2016.
Okay. So 10 years. They haven't signed a player to a multi-year deal as a free agent in 9 years.
That's incredible.
So they're off the list. Like they weren't talking to Juan Soto. They weren't talking to Roki Sasaki.
Nope.
So no, I mean, that's a fair point. But I guess my point would be, well, just because some teams aren't willing to spend doesn't mean that the best in the sport shouldn't get paid.
No, yeah. The best in the sport, like when Jackson Merrill's contract comes up,
you're going to have to pay.
Ideally, you get this thing locked up before he gets to that point.
Absolutely.
If Peter were still here, that contract would have been signed.
Yeah, I think this offseason would have been the offseason to do it.
He would have easily been one of Peter's favorite players of all time. He would have locked up Jackson Merrill and Michael King already. But when his contract does come up, yes, Jackson, I hear you. You love playing in San Diego. You want to spend your entire career here. Those words might change once you see the number figure the Padres potentially could be giving you compared to other teams in baseball.
I mean, I love hearing it, to your point, and he's also a very young player, and it's absolutely the right thing to say, and he's entitled to say it even if he doesn't end up here long term. It takes two. It's not his fault if the Padres don't offer him something that's fair and reasonable. I think ultimately they will, don't you? Like if you were fast forwarding, I'd be surprised.
They better.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if Jackson Merrill wasn't part of their long-term future. I'm not just talking about 3 or 4 years. I'm talking about 6 to 10 years or something like that, or 8 to 12 years for Jackson Merrill. But I don't know. I don't know who's going to be in control of the team in 6 or 12 years. Is it the Seidlers? Is it Shield? Is it an entire different group? But I think the Padres are kind of like in the middle here. They're not going to be signing Juan Soto to $750 million deals anytime soon. But I was hoping that every offseason wouldn't be Connor, Joe, Jason Hayward as the big moves either. I still think they're somewhere in between. I don't think every offseason is Connor, Joe, and I don't think every offseason is Juan Soto.
And going back to Jackson Merrill, I think it's a smart, responsible thing to just say, hey, can you back up last year with another good year?
True, but that costs you money if it happens, right?
So be it. I'd much rather be investing in something that's
real,
for sure, or at least close to it. Nothing's ever for sure in life, but something close to for sure, and having reassurance, like, okay, he can back it up. Then give him a long-term contract after year one, which again, I probably still would have done. And then all of a sudden, the next 3 years or 4 years, this contract, or maybe the rest of it, he just never puts up or produces the numbers he put up in year one.
You make a great point because Dan Zaborski joined us within the last year and said every month that's like a Merrill, who was it with the Diamondbacks that got
Corbin
signed?
Burns?
Carroll. Corbin Carroll. It's like every month Corbin Carroll replicates Corbin Carroll or Jackson Merrill replicates Jackson Merrill is $10 million more to the long-term deal when you extend a player out. Yeah. But maybe it's worth it, to your point, to prove that it's real. So halfway through the year, he's hit 310. He's an all-star again. It's July 1st. You say, you know what? We have seen more than enough. We're willing to pay the premium. He proved it to us again. Give him an extra 10 or 20 or $30 million on the deal. It's still better than having to wait this thing out and maybe ultimately one day gets $200-300 million. Like you have to get him locked up before you're paying some absurd amount of money, but you also have to make sure he's going to be here. I think he's such a critical piece for the future of the franchise.
I do too.
With the aging roster, with the way he played, with the way the fan base just received him, I guess, so to speak. He's an important, but that's inarguable.
According to MLB Network, he's the top
30
25 player in baseball.
We haven't mentioned that. I'm glad you did. So the Padres had 3 of the top 30 players so far, because MLB came out with top 100 right now, and they had 3 of the players between 21 and 30, right? Or 20 and 29.
Manny Machado. Hold on, let me just pull this up. Yeah, Manny Machado's at 29. Jackson Merrill's at 24. Tatis is at 22. So you have 3 of the top 30 players in the sport. I don't think any more are going to be on that list. Right? Maybe Dylan Cease, maybe Michael King. I don't know if they were even on the list already.
20.
But that top 20, that's kind of tough. But still, you got Jackson Merrill, according to MLB Network's top 100 players right now.
Better than Manny Machado right now.
24th best player in baseball.
Is that a reach to say that Merrill's better than Machado?
Probably. I mean, he put together a season that you could say he's a top 25 player. He's the best center fielder in the National League last year. I think that's no question about that.
Yeah.
So being the best center fielder, being the best position player in the league
at your position, puts you in that top 30 category. Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. All right. Kevin Acee from Peoria, his thoughts on day one, what Mike Schilt told the media. Our Padres Insider live from Peoria joins us next. Don't go anywhere. Plus Aztec tickets in the 4:00 hour. Jon and Jim.
This update's brought to you by the San Diego International Airport. San Diego State last night, thrilling win over San Jose State thanks to a 17-0 run to start the second half. They ended up winning 69-66. Next up, the Aztecs come back home to take on Boise State this Saturday night at Viejas Arena, 7 p.m. tip, 6 p.m. pregame. And tonight, Lakers, they take on the Utah Jazz once again. Luka is probable for the game. Tip times at 6 p.m. You can listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. The first phase of the new Terminal 1 at San Diego International Airport opens this fall. In addition to a new airport experience, the roads around the airport are changing. Please pay attention to roadway signage and drive safely.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It is pitchers and catchers report day, which I don't think you typically say is like this iconic, huge day. But I'm not the manager of the Padres. So Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. He'll be with us throughout this 2025 season. He's back with us right now on Jon and Jim. I know Kevin was at Mike Shilt's media availability earlier today. I want Kevin to react to this from Mike Schilt earlier today.
I mean, it's like one of the best days of the year, right? It's hard to quantify the best, but it's in the top 5 pitchers and catchers. Here we are. People will talk about the off season when the pitchers and catchers report. Well, here we are. We're reporting and we're getting after it. So it's an exciting day.
So, Kevin, first of all, thank you. We have an article idea and we're serious. I mean, you're there for forever. You got a lot to write. You probably have an article or two you could create here. Can you ask Mike Schilt what's in his top 5 days of the year other than pitchers and catchers reporting at some point?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I thought of it at the time and then it just got out of my head because I guess I'm so used to Mike's positivity and all that. I figure maybe I'll check with him later. Great idea. I will ask him. Because what would it be, right? Like he's never managed in a World Series. I mean, opening day. Okay, so there's number one. Is full squad reporting a part of it? Is like what? That coming back from the All-Star break? What?
What about just like Christmas? He didn't even say favorite like sporting days. He's just like, it's a top 5 day.
Yeah. Is Christmas in the list? Is Thanksgiving? Well, birthdays.
Well, I'll guarantee you for Mike, then Christmas and Easter, if we're going outside of baseball, then yeah. I'm thinking probably. But yeah, Mike is just, look, he was in midseason farm and fan fest.
Oh my gosh.
Guy is just if you need to pick me up, Mike Schilt's your guy.
And, we rib Mike Schilt all the time, but in the end though, Kevin, like on a serious note here, we were talking about this the other day. For the vibe of San Diego, this team, doesn't it feel almost like Mike Schilt has the perfect temperament that fits everything that encapsulates the city and the franchise? And he's just like, he's what you would think of if you were thinking of a Padres manager.
I think you're right. And I think he's like the perfect guy too. Like one of my first thoughts when, it started to get just sort of ugly in January. They didn't do anything this offseason and the lawsuit and all that I knew that one thing I knew for sure, Mike Schilt was going to turn that into something of a us versus them, right? Like something to talk about. If not us versus them, then in this clubhouse, it's just us, and we love the guys we have. I mean, already we're like a day in, and I've heard Mike Schilt say that they've won the offseason. I mean, he is so stoked about how good everybody has done this offseason and how good they're coming into camp. And look, I'm not making fun of them. I do sometimes have fun with Mike, but I'm not making fun of him. That is exactly who he is.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider, back with us on Jon and Jim. So in this media availability, And for some of our listeners, they haven't heard it. We've played some of it. What did you find to be most newsworthy? I know there was the Stephen Kolek news that they could stretch him out. Was there anything in there that you found like substantive related to 2025 and the regular season?
No, and that's not generally a Mike chill, except for on the rare days. And again, no offense to him, but Mike's not where you go for the substantive stuff. So that is something, right? Stephen Kolek, Johnny Brito. I think they're going to, they've got some young guys they could try to turn into the Brito of last year and try to get through this season. I don't think so. I think they're going to get some, a starter or two from the outside that's not here now. But that was the message of today is at first we're going to look internal for starting pitching.
Not everybody is there. I saw Xander's there, Ethan Salas, Leo DeVries. I'm sure Jackson Merrill's sleeping somewhere in the facility. Like he just never leaves. But what's the vibe that you've got so far? I mean, it's been a up and down offseason, mostly down, the lawsuit and lack of moves. But just what vibe have you got so far on day one in Peoria?
I think it's really early. Let's talk in a week. But like for me to be able to definitively tell you, but like it already has occurred to me like, okay, I need to ask about this positive attitude, right? Like try to get to the bottom of like, how real is it? And I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just saying, like what do these guys really think? But I think similar to last year, they felt like last year they were being overlooked and that people didn't think they were very good. And I think if we all look at ourselves, we can kind of remember back to last year and go, I mean, I don't know that we were thinking 93 wins, right? So but that's what I've gotten just in talking with guys, limited the last few weeks. And then today was, we are very similar to last year because they brought up, a couple of guys have brought up like, hey, last year people were sleeping on us. And, that's a typical player refrain, right? Like people are sleeping on us. I mean, every team that wins, maybe except the Dodgers this year, after they win the Super Bowl or the World Series or whatever, it was like, no one believes in us. But I think that's kind of the vibe right now is like, hey, we're a good team. And that, I guess not, I don't know that it's anything profound. You wouldn't expect that, but it certainly is counter to the outside.
Interesting. Kevin AC, our Padres insider, back with us, Jon and Jim. We talked just a couple of days ago, and we talked about the idea that maybe Jason Hayward, Connor Joe is a platoon, and that's still very much a possibility. But Mike Schultz said today that, hey, maybe Jason Hayward, gets first shot at left field, and Connor Joe with his versatility, sure, he could play in the outfield, but he can DH, he could be at first base, right? He could move around the diamond. So do you think ultimately that it's a platoon potentially left, or is it Jason Hayward's opportunity to be the everyday starter in left field?
I'd be really surprised if Jason Hayward grabbed that job and was batting against lefties all the time. I really would be. Now, Jason Hayward could come in. Like this is hey, let's see what spring training is very much one of the big storylines is what does Jason Hayward have, right? Like Jason Hayward can look terrible. And then Jason Hayward obviously is an incredibly accomplished player. And so, but he's 35 and it's been a while. And so I'd be very surprised. And when I talk to other people in the organization over the last 3 or 4 days, that's not the impression I got. That Jason Hayward, that they're expecting. I don't want to make it sound like they're not excited about him, but it's like a real wait and see with Jason Hayward.
Right. Yeah.
It makes sense.
He'll be here. I'm assuming later this week.
$1 million with $250,000 in playing time incentive.
Right.
Like if Jason Hayward, if anyone involved thought that he was going to have a Jurickson Profar kind of year, there would at least been a little bit more available to him.
Kevin, you've reported on the payroll multiple times this offseason, and me and Jon were just discussing this. If they truly don't make a move, a cost-cutting move, if they keep Suarez and they keep Cease and Arise and Cronenworth, then the likelihood of them being over the CBT is pretty high because those are the moves that you would think they would make to get under the CBT. Yeah. So do you feel that they still are going to have to and want to get under that CBT number? Or is there a chance that they could go into the season over that CBT number? Because they're above it right now.
So I was told, and this was earlier in the offseason, and I forget when, it was probably before I went on my sabbatical. So we're probably talking about like early December, that there was zero chance they were going over the CBT. It did occur to me in talking with people the last, I guess since Saturday night would be one of my first conversations with someone, that maybe I should check again.
Okay.
Right? Because they reset last year. The penalty wouldn't be that great. You don't know until you see actually what revenue is going to be. So they're very good at predicting it. I just want to leave open that possibility that maybe I should check again. But I was told unequivocally, which made me go, okay, I'm done. Like, right? Like, so I want to say no, they're not going to go over. So does that mean they rework a contract? And somehow, there's little tricks you can do. They're not that far over. So that's, I think your question, the premise was that they don't make a move. So yeah, I don't know, but I will tell you, it's interesting that you asked that over the weekend. I said, well, make a note on one of your stickies. You've never seen my notebooks, I don't think, but I got a bunch of sticky pads because I don't remember anything. And make a note about asking for, is the CBT threshold, is that still a definite? So I'll get back to you on that, but I will tell you, it was unequivocal, not going to go over it. Now, that also had to do with the catch crunch, right? Like, how could we? Because we're going to keep up, around 200 or under 200, and we're probably going to move one of these guys. Well, here we are, and that's why you're asking the question. Here we are. No one's been moved, and now they're talking like, hey, we'd like to keep all these guys. Now, look, there's two things that they've been talking about in recent days that I think might also be kind of like negotiating ploys or something. And one is that they're going to look internally for starting pitching. I'm not saying that's not true, but that is also only part of the story. And then you start to hear that, hey, we'd like to keep these guys. Okay. Maybe, but I don't see how. And
to your point there, like unequivocally, no, they were not going over the CBT, and potentially things could have changed. Obviously, we don't know that yet, as you just said, but let's just go down a path of things did change and they're okay with going over the CBT and they want to keep all these guys. Then to me, and tell me if you agree, Kevin, then it just doesn't make any sense that why not go then get Profar for 14 when they're like, oh, we would not get Profar for 14. Well, if you're going over the CBT by $3 million, why not go over the CBT by another 10? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, because remember the cash crunch too.
Right.
Again, we talked about it, like, and you guys have talked about it, like they deferred $5 million or $5.75 million on Diaz and King because like that will help them to not have to pay those opt-outs until until November or whenever it is that they're due. There's a cash issue here too. So, and also for Profar, and again, everyone knows I love Profar, but $14 million a year, not just this year, but next year and the year after, that's not something that the Padres were going to do. And I don't know how many teams were going to do that. And I, on a personal level, hope that works out for the Braves, because that would be a phenomenal story if Profar can finish his career where, last year and then 3 years at $14 million is worth it.
Yeah, and that's something you reported on throughout the offseason, that the Padres weren't going to go there with Jurickson Profar. I enjoyed what you wrote today in the UT about storylines just heading into spring training, as everyone's obviously excited for what's to come. What I thought was interesting, and this is more maybe 2026 than 2025, that maybe this is like the prequel for Leo DeVries, where he's got a shot, right, to make a team. Would the same hold true for Ethan Salas potentially a year from now? I mean, both these players are extremely young. It's even more rare for a catcher, obviously, to break through as a teenager. But like, will those situations, if we had a crystal ball, will they present themselves a year from now?
I think so. Yeah. And maybe I should have included Salas, but he was in camp last year.
Right.
And I really see the kind of chatter internally about DeVries being sort of like Merrill, where this is his first camp and it's just more like a, hey, get to know you, put him over there on that side of clubhouse next to those guys and have them, play a lot or, kind of a lot and really, be integrated, get to know those guys so that then he feels like next spring, like hit the ground running. That's what I think.
Have you heard
yes, about Salas? Absolutely. Both those guys, I think. Now look, the Padres were ahead of the curve on this. I've been writing it for a while that internally DeVries has been their number one prospect even before, all the prospect rankings split them. But not like they've soured on Salas, but like DeVries is up there.
Kevin, have you heard anything on when we could, expect to hear from someone in, I don't know, the front office or ownership?
No, I have not since coming back from Palm Beach and hearing that, hey, it's not going to be at least until, Jon Seidler is officially the guy. And look, I think I said that, you guys. Like, I get that. Like, I was mad
right.
to have gone to Palm Beach. And I thought, and I do think that it would be great. And I think you would agree with me, and I think fans would agree with me. I think there's things that could be said that wouldn't get Jon Seidler in trouble, okay? But I also do understand that, you know what? Basically, everything that they've said, Shield Seidler's lawyers had something to say about it, right? And then, you do have this lawsuit that's pending, and I do understand it. But I can't say it enough that I think it'd be a real good idea. And again, I'm not big on PR, and I'm big more on like results and getting it done. But I understand the restlessness of the fans, and as a conduit to the fans, in the media, I believe that the time is here for that someone in management, and that would mean Greupner up. Greupner, Casenda, Jon Seidler. Someone needs to speak soon.
Kevin, we appreciate it. I know Padres fans are excited. Spring is here. We'll be talking to you, obviously, on the regular throughout the course of the season, right here on San Diego Sports 760. Enjoyed the writing and the reporting again for Padres fans. You can read Kevin each and every day in the UT, in the paper, and online. He wrote today about spring training storylines. So thank you, Kevin. We'll do it again on Friday, all right?
All right, guys. Looking forward to it. See you.
All right. Take care. Kevin Acee, our Padres insider. Will react on the other side, plus the wrap. Stay with us. get to the wrap coming up shortly at 4:30. We have Aztec basketball tickets to give away this hour as well. Also, a reminder to catch the Lakers tonight. They're going to be on the road in Salt Lake taking on the Jazz. Tip off at 6.
Dude, I've been saying that every single update.
6 p.m. tip. Now,
Yes.
Salt Lake's in the Pacific time zone.
Yeah.
And they're going with the 6 o'clock tip. That's a little rare, right? For a Wednesday night. Think about that. NBA game. You're an NBA guy.
Not really thinking
Let's
about
talk about
much.
this.
No.
Let's talk about this.
Okay, fine.
The Warriors played 6 p.m. ever at home on a Wednesday?
Probably.
Okay.
It's probably an ESPN game, or not ESPN. It's probably a
Yeah, it has
TNT
to do with
game.
national. Yeah, makes sense.
I'm not
You don't
putting
care.
too much thought
I am.
into that process there.
It's all I'm thinking about right now.
I know.
I'm also only thinking about this. The
Net
Padres
rankings?
have 6. No, of course, but they have 6 top 100 players right now, according to MLB Network. Do you know the 6?
Let me guess. Right now?
We gave you the 3.
Yeah. Manny, Toddy,
Merrily.
I'm going to go with King, Cease, and Darvish or Suarez.
No, dude. Come
Oh,
on.
no, Luis
bro.
Arise.
You're
I'm an
missing the
idiot.
hit king.
Yeah.
Now,
Luis
Arise, to kind of baseball's point that average doesn't matter, is the 83rd best player in baseball per MLB Network right now. The 69th best player
Nice.
is Michael King.
Oh, it's great.
The 55th best player is Dylan Cease.
Wow.
So 6 of the top 100, 3 of the top 30. I think that's where you get the impact. I mean, if you truly do have 3 of the top 30 players in the game this year, if Manny is a top 30 player, Jackson a top 30 player, Toddy, then you're probably going to the postseason.
And can Xander become
Top 100 player?
close to what he was in his final years in Boston? Because then if that's true and these guys all have great years and they're healthy, then yeah, you're right. It's hard to think that this team is just going to only win 81 or 82 games.
Right.
If one of Manny, Toddy, or Merrill puts together like a top 5 MVP season, which Toddy and Manny are definitely capable of, for sure.
Toddy and Manny. Yeah, not Xander.
No, I was talking about Jackson Merrill.
Okay.
If you get a top 5 MVP season from either Tatis or Manny,
Mm-hmm.
and then the rest of the players in that top 100 list all stay healthy and perform, and then you have a bounce back year from Xander, you have a comparable season like last year, this year for Jake Cronenworth. You got something cooking here.
Yeah.
And if the back end of the bullpen, which we both think is going to be really good if they keep Suarez,
I agree.
and if Darvish gives them 28 to 32 starts, yeah, it's hard to envision this team not at least getting to the 85 win mark.
Look at this. Look at it this way. If they truly have 6 of the top 80 players, let's just say roughly, right? If you take this as fact and these guys perform like
It's
these
gospel
numbers,
to me, John.
but that actually means like
Bible.
the average would be if there's 30 teams, each team would average having 3 top 100 players because 30 times 3 is 90. So you get the point. They have 6 of the top 80. Goes to the basic premise that their core is solid. And nobody's ever doubted that. And then I would add Darvish and Suarez to this core, right? So now you're 8, 9 in terms of like core pieces.
Cronenworth.
And the issue, yes, that's fine. We can add them in. The issue remains the 2021 or 2023 issue, which is you run into all kinds of depth issues, the top heavy rosters,
Injuries,
exactly that factor. Now, a year ago, again, he gets credit. AJ Preller does for putting together that complete roster. So sometimes with baseball, you can get a little infatuated with like, oh, they got 2 of the top 5 players. Yeah, so did the Angels for 10 years. You know, what about the other 20 guys on your team?
Yeah, if this was football or basketball.
Oh, basketball. I mean, of course. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Football, you have
Best quarterback. You're
Yeah.
going to be good.
if 3 of your top players are in the top 30 and it's your quarterback, your running back,
And your receiver.
or like a defensive end,
Then you're great.
you feel like you should be good.
Yep.
Baseball is just a weird sport that you could have 6 of the top 100 and you
Yeah.
still can only win 83 games.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's
That's
just
why some of those,
dude.
and I respect it because I do like to know like where does Jackson Merrill fit in the sport right now, and
You
it's
think
hard to get
that's
a feel for that.
Do you think that's a adequate ranking for him?
If anything, I would say it's high.
I was a little surprised.
Yeah, I think it's probably, to me, to say Jackson Merrill right now is quote unquote better than Manny Machado. To me, that's probably a little bit of a reach.
Who do you think is the top 5? It's going to be Shohei number 1, Judge 2. Mookie's in the top 10.
Yeah, like Mookie, Freeman. Yeah, I was thinking that. It's going to be like 3 Dodgers in the top 5.
You're going to get Tariq Skubal in there because he's amazing. Cy Young.
Whereas like
Chris Sale's is probably top 15.
Didn't they put did they put Roki on that? Didn't they put him at 100?
They did. They just gave him like
put him
on the list.
Yeah. I don't, that's a good question though on the top. I mean, yeah, Shohei's number 1, Harper's top 10.
Trying to think Skeens.
Yeah, maybe. Top 20, definitely.
20.
Yeah.
How many Dodgers are probably in the top?
Well, 20? That's the like 9. 9 of the top 10.
Snell.
Tasker Hernandez. I mean,
Snell on the list? I don't even know. But
well, they haven't done the top 20.
Okay. No. What about the rest of the list though?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen the whole. I just saw the Padres list.
It's going to be the most anticlimactic who's number 1 on the list ever.
And anticlimactic.
Did I say anticlimactic?
You can't say that word, can you?
Anticlimactic.
Good job. All right, the wrap's coming up next. Aztec basketball tickets we're giving away later this hour. Welcome to my life. It's Jon and Jim.
This update is brought to you by Staples Stores. San Diego State, a thrilling win last night over San Jose State, thanks to a 17-0 run to start the second half. Aztecs will come back to Viejas Arena to take on Boise State Saturday night, 7 p.m. tip, 6 p.m. pregame. And tonight we have NBA on the station as the Lakers take on the Utah Jazz. Luka Doncic is probable for that game tonight, 6 p.m. Listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. And this update's been brought to you by Staples.
Why is he probable? Did I miss something 2 days ago?
It's calf strain, bro.
John, it's NBA. Everyone is probable. That's how they justify load management.
That's fair. We have Aztec basketball tickets for Tuesday night. We'll give away coming up in about 10 minutes or so. So do not go anywhere. Aztec basketball tickets for Tuesday night. We'll give those away coming up later this hour. Great giveaways in the 5 o'clock hour as well. Day one of Padres spring training. Pitchers and catchers have reported. We'll get back to that in the 5 o'clock hour. But right now, let's get to this.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Are the Aztecs an NCAA tournament team?
Yeah, Jim, I read your tweet last night.
Okay, stop it. You thought the same thing.
No, but you have a funny way of saying things. You're so blunt.
Yes, I am.
Which is good.
Got a problem with that?
No. Yeah.
If the season ended today, John, they're a tournament team.
Yeah, if the season ended today, you're right. The thing is,
I know
it didn't. Like the season didn't end.
Well, if they didn't pull off last night's win, the answer is no.
Right.
But they did. So the answer is now yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say. I think
they're not.
No, I think they'll figure it out under Brian Dutcher. I don't think it's easy, but I don't think it's been easy to get to this point. And that includes last night, it includes Air Force on the road, and so on and so forth. So are they going to be a 5 seed like they've been the last 2 years? No, there's no path. But are they going to find their way into the NCAA tournament? They absolutely. That's very realistic with a month to go until Selection Sunday. Next question.
Should Travis Kelce retire? Not will he, should he?
Yeah.
He's, how old is he? He's 30, 35. Turns 36 in, October?
Okay.
The last 2 years, not great. Yeah, I think he should retire because it's not going to get better. Now, he had 97 receptions this year, but only for 823 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Right.
He had one good playoff game. Super Bowl was awful for him. He's just not look good. If you have Travis Kelce for like 6 games, like 6 like really good games, it's great. But hearing him talk on his podcast today, it just sounds like he is spent because going to 7 straight AFC title games, going to 4 of the last 6 Super Bowls, 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
right?
like all those extra games.
No, 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls.
Whatever.
All those extra games you play, probably time to hang it up.
Here's the reason why I would definitely do it. You're not changing your legacy moving forward. It's secure. It's golden. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer. And his ability to earn post-playing career, he's like a quarterback. I mean, he's going to earn more post-playing than he did as a player. That's incredible to say about any athlete. But he is fully set up. His on-field legacy is secure. It cannot change based on returning to the NFL in 2025 or beyond. So I don't even think I really don't think it's a question.
It's time for you to get engaged to Taylor, have a big wedding, start a family, bro. It's time.
It's time.
Do it.
Next question.
Are you just going to divorce him now? Are you guys excited for SDFC's away jersey unveiling this weekend?
I did see a leak of it.
That's always the issue.
Yeah, I've already seen it.
So you know what it looks like?
Allegedly.
Every time there's been a leak, it's turned out to be true, right?
Yeah, I think this is also correct. I've seen multiple leaks of it. Once on this website, the other someone's grainy photo, and it matches up.
All right, so they're going to announce this away kit or jersey Friday morning. They'll announce this Friday morning, their secondary kit, 8 a.m. at their store, 18 Threads, the club's official retail shop at the Mission Valley Mall. I always love, me, man. I love logos. I love marks. I love jerseys. So I love all that stuff. I don't love leaks as much.
I thought that the home kits were much better in person. Like you got to see it and have it, and then have the authentic too, not the replica. Having the authentic, it's different than a picture. I'm gonna be honest. What I saw, pretty bland.
What was the question again? Am I excited? I like it. I mean, I don't know if excited is the right word, but yeah, I'm into it.
But I also don't think that's their fault.
That it was leaked.
No, that it's as bland as I think it's going to be.
It's also like year one.
Yes.
Yeah, it changes. They add like third jerseys.
When I say it's not their fault, it's not because of that. It's because of Adidas. Adidas comes out with just some bland, simple, all the same type of jerseys.
Sure.
Are the road jerseys typically more bland, just in general in soccer?
I don't know the answer to that.
No, because SD Loyal had some pretty sweet.
True. But I mean, I guess the point is in Major League Soccer.
Major League Soccer.
They all, like you said,
had more emphasis on the home team opposed to the road.
Right. Next question.
What Padres spring training storyline are you most excited about? There were so many of them today already.
Is it Stephen Kolek being stretched out, Jim?
Pause. It's not Stephen Kolek.
Not even him being stretched out.
No. My storyline that I'm looking forward to the most is not even anything on field. And it's not the ownership. It's, will Preller make a move or not? Is he going to make another move or not? And if he does, is it a trade? Is it a signing? Is it a trade and a signing? That's my biggest storyline. That's what I'm every day waking up seeing if something happened.
Yeah, the only storyline for me is, are they going to trade away one of these core pieces?
Yeah.
Because that's the speculation has been to get under the CBT. It's not like, hey, we need to pare down Tyler Wade. It's like, are they going to trade Dylan Cease? That would be massive. Yeah. That would be season shifting if Dylan Cease was traded, or even someone like Robert Suarez. So that's way bigger than, hey, we're going to try to stretch out Kolek to 60 pitches. Okay.
And no offense to Tyler Wade, even though he did block me on X.
Why did he block you on X?
He blocked a lot of Padres fans on X. But also last year, I mean, come on, bro, play better.
Tyler Wade?
Yeah.
Play better? That was like your takeaway from last year?
Well, if you're going to block a bunch of people.
Oh, I got you.
For criticizing you and for, times last year where you did nothing for the team, I don't play better.
Dude, no, that guy was like a bench piece.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned if Tyler Wade hits 340 this spring.
No, either am I. I mean, the in Cactus League storylines is what? Hayward or Joan left? Who's going to be their starting catcher? How does the back end of their bullpen come together? I mean, they're not overly intriguing. All these teams have the same questions. There's like one position.
Just getting through spring healthy. Xander at short. I want to hear from Xander, his thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Manny says that, he's actually going into a season fully healthy compared to last year.
Right.
Can Tatis stay healthy? A lot of it revolves around like health, because that's going to be a huge part of their season. If they stay healthy and these guys perform, they should be, should be pretty decent.
Right. All right. Call right now if you want 2 free tickets to see the Aztecs men's basketball team Tuesday night back at Viejas Arena against Fresno State. Tickets, goaztecs.com. We have 2 free tickets for San Diego State, Fresno State. First 2 callers will be our contestants for trivia. All you need to do is call 877-767-4760. Obviously, a great giveaway. Just 3 or 4 home games remaining this year. San Diego State trying to get back to the NCAA tournament. 877-767-4760. First 2 callers will be contestants for trivia. We call it Trainwreck Radio. That's coming up next. Jon and Jim.
Dude.
missed Mike Schild earlier today, Padres pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training. You'll hear from Mike Schild coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. We are here until 6. And we've got great giveaways in the 5 o'clock hour as well. We're about to give away Aztec tickets. Then in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll give away tickets to see Australian Pink Floyd. Also, we have tickets to see the Warren Haynes Band. So a lot coming up over the next hour plus. In addition, as we told you earlier, Lakers Jazz tonight, 6 Pacific right here on San Diego Sports 760. Luca, what did I call it?
San Diego Sports 760?
I was thinking Luca.
That's a good station. I like that. San Diego Sports 760.
Luca.
6 to Luca.
Well, he's expected to play is what I was going to say, Jim.
When does Jones turn 6
March 8th.
Good job.
Pretty soon.
Yeah, must be nice.
Aztecs senior night.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah. You going to go?
Maybe I'll go.
Shut up. All right, let's play.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's contestants are Steve and Alejandro. Steve, you called in first, so you have your choice of Jon or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
I think I'm going to select Jon.
Steve and Jon.
Steve and Jon, Alejandro. You get Jim, okay?
Okay.
All right, Brent, what's the question?
All right, guys. Last night, Kevin Durant became the 8th player in NBA history to score at least 30,000 points in their career. Today's question, name any of those other 7 players that have at least 30,000 points in their career.
All right. So first up, we got Alejandro. What is your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'll say LeBron James.
LeBron James on the list. He's the number 1 scorer of all time. There you go. Steve, you're up. What is your first guess? You have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Yeah, I'm going to say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Boom.
All right.
Alejandro, back to you. What is your second guess? You have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Well, I think Michael Jordan should be there.
Michael Jordan should be there.
MJ.
He's there. Steve, back to you. What is your next guess? You have a lifeline if you want to use it.
No, I'm going to say Wilt Chamberlain.
Wilt.
You guys know basketball.
Back to Alejandro. Final guess. What do you got? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe. There we go. Steve, to send this thing to overtime, what's your final guess? You have a lifeline, which is Jon, if you want to use it.
We're saying 30,000 points.
Or more.
Or more. I'm going to say Karl Malone.
Karl Malone.
Wow.
Okay.
I was going to say, so we got 6 of the 7. I was going to say.
I know who's on the list.
You do? I have no idea. I was going to say. I forget. It was someone good.
Obviously.
Because they scored 30,000 points.
If you suck, you typically don't score that much.
I don't know. Oh, I was going to say Kevin Garnett.
No.
That would have been wrong.
You need to say Dirk Nowitzki.
Nowitzki?
Mm-hmm.
Who's Dirk Nowitzki?
Dirk Nowitzki? Dirk Nowitzki? What do you want?
Nowitzki, dude.
Nowitzki. Whatever. Who cares? Dirk. He's on the list.
Top 7 scorer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Dirk is on the list. He was the last one.
All right. So now we're going to overtime. Brent, what's the question of overtime and the rules?
All right. How overtime is going to work is I'm going to ask you another question. When I'm done asking the question, you're going to yell out the name of your partner today, either Jon or Jim. Don't yell out your name. Whoever yells out the name of their partner first, you are going to win the game by getting the question right, or you're going to lose the game by getting the question wrong. Do you guys understand?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Today's overtime question. What team drafted Kevin Durant?
Jim. Jon.
I heard Jim.
Alejandro, you're up. What do you got?
The Thunder.
The Thunder?
That is incorrect. Yes, it was the Seattle Supersonics. It was not the Oklahoma City Thunder. He spent 1 year in Seattle.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Right organization.
Yep.
They kept all the stats, but not the colors and marks. But yeah, no. Close but no cigar.
So, Steve, you're the winner.
Steve, Congrats. So we had the 7 30,000 point scores. Now Katie is the 8th.
Mhm.
What is LeBron's number? Where's he at?
41,000.
Jeez.
Yeah, he's number one. 41,623.
He passed
That's amazing.
Kareem last year.
40, who's number? So Kareem's 2. What's the order?
You only have to order.
What's the
LeBron's
order?
1, Kareem's 2, Malone's 3, then Kobe, Jordan, Dirk, Wilt, and then KD. Trying to see if we have
Bronny and LeBron the highest father-son duo.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are. Yeah.
I'm trying to see who we have for active.
Yeah, who's active?
The next closest active guy that would hit it, James Harden's at just under 27.
Yeah, will he hit it?
You got to play at least like 3 more years.
Yeah. Other than that, Russell Westbrook's at just under 26.
What about Russell Wilson?
He's under
think he'll make
0.
it.
Okay. Interesting. 30,000 points. That's quite the accomplishment for Katie is such an interesting cat. We've had that conversation so much. Guy is flat out brilliant. No doubt one of the best ever. But is he going to be remembered as one of the best ever?
He's going to be remembered as a basketball mercenary.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Going to the Warriors. I think that Warriors team will be viewed as one of the best all time.
Absolutely. And he was 2-time finals MVP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So his legacy is awesome. I mean, great player, obviously.
Yeah.
But to the all-time greats.
When you look at, and I saw this the other day, look at the, like all-star duos in NBA history. You had Jordan Pippen, LeBron and D Wade, Magic and Kareem, right? Steph, KD. Steph and KD have the highest winning percentage
NBA history
of all of like the star players. Now, granted, they played only 210 total games together.
That's still a good amount.
Not counting the postseason.
Right.
But they won 2 titles. They went to 3 NBA finals.
So what was it? A 3-year run?
It was a 3-year run that if KD does not get hurt.
Oh, they lost to Toronto?
They get 3-peat.
Okay, so the only loss was when they were banged up to Kawhi and the Raptors.
Yeah, KD was out. Clay got hurt in game 5. They were going to win that game. And if they won that game, you go to game, I think it was game 6.
Was it going to be at home?
Or was that game 6? No, I think that might have been game 6.
Was that a 6-game series or a 5-game series?
I think it was a 6-game series because that's right. If I remember, it was a 6-game series, and Clay was going off.
You're right. 4-2 was the
game 6. Clay, they win that game. Game 7's back in Toronto with everybody's, sphincter very tight.
Okay,
but Katie didn't play. That's why that for me is like a fan. I don't really get upset about that one because it's like guys were hurt. KD was hurt, and if KD played, they were going to win that series.
Right.
Like I can firmly say that with confidence that the Warriors were going to win that series if KD was hurt and Clay never got hurt.
How good was Kawhi in 2019?
He was incredible.
He was so good. There was that couple of year stretch where he was just humming. He was just absolutely rolling,
right?
Including in 2019. All right, in the 5 o'clock hour, back to the Padres, who reported to spring training today. Pitchers and catchers. What did Mike Schild have to say on day 1? In addition, coming up next hour, we have not one but 2 giveaways for you. One of them is a pair of tickets to see Australian Pink Floyd. This will be in August at the Cal Coast Credit Union Open Air Theater at San Diego State. The other giveaway we have is a pair of tickets to see the Warren Haynes Band coming up at Humphreys by the Bay in May. So 2 great giveaways. We'll hear from Mike Schill. Jim's back page is still ahead. Lakers basketball coming up at 6 p.m. as well. Stay with us. Hour 4 of Jon and Jim. That comes your way next.
All right, this update is brought to you by the San Diego International Airport. San Diego State, thrilling win last night over San Jose State. Next up, they'll take on Boise this Saturday at Viejas Arena. 7 p.m. tip, 6 p.m. pregame. You can listen right here on the station. And Lakers, they take on the Utah Jazz tonight in Utah. Luka is probable with a calf strain. You can listen to that game at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. The first phase of the new Terminal 1 at San Diego International Airport opens this fall. In addition to a new airport experience, the roads around the airport are changing. Please pay attention to roadway signage and drive safely.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour of Jon and Jim. We do have 2 giveaways for you this hour. Australian Pink Floyd. Don't look at me like that, Jim.
I'm not even looking at you.
You weren't. It's true. And we also have tickets to see the Warren Haynes Band.
Australian Pink Floyd's better than normal Pink Floyd. It's like how Mexican Coke is better than normal Coke.
Okay, perfect. Well, then
more cane sugar.
One of our listeners is going to see Australian Pink Floyd coming up Sunday, August 17th, Cal Coast Credit Union Open Air Theater.
Do you think if Mike Schilt had Australian
top
Pink,
5,
Australian
top 5,
Australian Pink Floyd tickets, he would? I think it was the greatest thing he's ever seen.
This is what he would say. This is what Mike Schilt said today, getting ready for Australian Pink Floyd.
I mean, it's like one of the best days of the year, right?
See?
It's hard to quantify the best, but it's in the top 5.
How about that?
Pitchers and catchers, here we are. You know,
And
people
pitchers.
talk about the off season when the pitchers catcher report. Well, here we are. We're reporting and we're getting after it. So it's an exciting day.
It's an exciting day, John.
Straight from the manager's mouth.
It's the best day ever.
It's a top 5 day of the year.
I really need to know what his other 4 are, because it wasn't sports days. That was a big thing.
This
that
could include Christmas,
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, all the big ones.
Kevin mentioned earlier that he would put in Easter for Mike Schilt.
Okay.
Isn't that during the season though?
Right at the beginning. Yep.
All right. What about birthdays? What about his wife's birthday?
What about his? You're
his
right.
Birthday.
You're right. But I mean, Mike Schilt, he's all in on the gig. Like, he's not one of these managers that waits for the season to be over so he can enjoy a couple of months to himself. No, the second the season ends, he's getting ready for this day, as evidenced by really what he said about a lot of topics here today. But again, pitchers and catchers have reported off this kind of bizarre offseason. When I think about the last handful of Padres off seasons, there have been some really fascinating ones, and they're typically not boring. And I'm not saying this offseason was boring, but it was uninspiring.
Well, technically the offseason's still the offseason.
Yeah, but it's kind of like not as much of the offseason now that they're going to be like playing spring training games in a week.
You're right. Once pitchers and catchers report, that kind of signifies, all right, off season's over. We are now moving into the new season.
Yeah, exactly. Now, but you're right. I think they'll make moves. I think AJ Preller is going to be active. But yeah, you're right. It's still the offseason.
And what is this team going to look like on opening day?
It could be a lot different than this.
It could or could not, or
Right.
it could stay the same.
Right. Yep.
I just think that a move has to come. Right.
Yeah. Like if I was,
I mean, are we really going to sit here and continue to talk about Stephen Kolek being the new starting pitcher?
Right. So the news of the day, and that's how you know that there's not a lot of news. It's kind of like the news of the offseason, and you know there's not a lot of news. The news of the day, and Dennis Lynn reported on it first, I think, was that the Padres will take a reliever that was a Rule 5 guy a year ago.
Well, Schulte said it in his press conference.
Okay, Schulte said it. Dennis reported on it from that.
Yeah.
But Stephen Kolek, a Rule 5 selection a year ago that had some ups and downs, could move into their rotation, or at least be a candidate to be in their rotation. Now, remember we played yesterday AJ Preller at FanFest, where he was like, we still need to add a starting pitcher or two. Didn't he say that?
And a bat or two.
So he said that a week. Now they added Connor Joe and Jason Hayward. Take it for what it is.
And Kevin telling us earlier today the likelihood of them just being like, hey, Jason Hayward's our starting left fielder.
Not high.
Not high at all.
If you missed our conversation with Kevin AC, sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app, make sure to search for Jon and Jim. But I guess my point is that when Preller said we're going to add a bat or two, he was being honest. Now, maybe not to everyone's liking, but he's already done it. When he said he was going to add a starting pitcher or two, was he being serious? Or is it more about, you know what, internally we do have options. Johnny Burrito and Randy Vasquez and Matt Waldron and Stephen Kolek and probably others, non-roster invitees as well. Is that going to be good enough to start the year with? I would say no, truthful. That's just how I feel. I don't think your 4 and 5 spots are just internal candidates in the NL West or trying to vie for a playoff spot. That's just how I feel right now. It might be good enough. I would think you'd have to go outside and add. That's how I look at it.
I think there is nothing more than they would love than having internal pieces step up.
Mm-hmm.
Tirso, Stephen Kolek, Randy Vasquez.
Right. Cost effective.
Campy.
Yeah, from the organization.
They would love nothing more than for that to happen. And truthfully, same here.
Yeah, I'm fine with that if it works.
It doesn't matter if the guy's name is Wooga Booga. If he can perform.
I don't know Wooga Booga.
If he could, if he's from inside the system and he performs and steps up, then that's great.
Booga's not even a top 30 prospect. I'm at the site right now. He's outside the top 30 in the Padres organization.
But you get my point. Is
he gets no spin on his rotation.
Oh God. If they were to go out and they sign a player that is known and has a track record, yeah, that's probably something that everybody would be excited about. But I think the organization would be more excited is if guys from inside the organization step up and fill these roles internally. Because it just is so much easier. Like last year, Jackson Merrill becoming the everyday center fielder, just so much easier to build a roster and have a team that, you know, can contend for multiple years and it's sustainable. If you have guys in your system come up and perform, they would love Stephen Kolek to turn into a guy that can give him 20 starts this year, like Randy Vasquez did last year that Mike Schultz gushed about.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that they would love, you know, but there's also what's realistic.
I know.
I mean, you know, even Matt, you know, I go back to a year ago and they got some production, like you said. I mean, Matt Waldron for an extended period of time was really productive. I guess the problem is you've got Yu Darvish, who hasn't gotten through a full season much as a Padre, if we're being honest, right? Now, last year, personal reasons were in there, but he's also in health
not his fault.
situations. King and Cease was awesome. I mean, they were healthy, right? They were workhorses.
Amazing.
A year ago, but, you know, we don't know that they're going to get 30 starts from those three, let alone what's going to happen with the fourth and the fifth. And you're going to need contingency plans is the point. Because I don't think you start the season saying, you know what? Randy Vasquez had a nice spring, so he's going to make 32 starts for us. Or Matt Waldron had a nice spring, so he's going to make 32 starts for us. I mean, almost every organization needs a 6th or 7th starting pitcher, and that includes the Padres. So I kind of take what Preller said on its face, that they're actually going to add starting pitching. Now, how are they going to do that? It goes back to the $1 million question. They don't even have $1 million to spend. So how are they going to add starting pitching from outside? I don't know. I don't know how they plan to do it, but I also know this. He's the most creative guy in the job, in the GM chair in Major League Baseball. They don't get more creative or more outside the box than AJ Preller. So I trust him to figure that out.
You want to know another storyline from day one of pitchers and catchers that we haven't talked about yet, that no one's talked about yet?
And it's not Ooga Booga related?
It's not Ooga Booga.
Okay.
AJ Preller was in Peoria, and there's a picture out there of him.
I saw him
on his cell phone.
So you think he's making a move? I know he's on his cell phone every day, every hour of every day. I know you're kidding.
He's on his cell phone, everybody.
He's like watching a bullpen or something, right? Or a side session.
Oh, yeah. He's watching like their 200th ranked prospect. And he's like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever.
I bet he is. I bet he is.
He's like, oh, it's great.
Well,
Ooga.
I guarantee, dude, when Preller and Schultz sit down at the end of the day, and I'm sure they do a lot this time of year when they are forecasting what it's going to look like, they have, I guarantee internally, they're not just like, we're good. Stretch out Kolek. See you in 6 weeks. Like, I guarantee that there are questions that have to be answered that AJ Preller is trying to answer.
God, you just gave me I need
Ooga Booga.
No, not Ooga Booga. I need like behind closed doors
Hard Knocks.
Shilty Hard Knocks.
Padres Hard Knocks.
Dude, I need it more than I need air to breathe. I need to see Shilty without the camera in front of him, without a microphone in front of him. But
I like to envision him as the exact same person.
I know. That's the thing is I need to see it with my own two eyes and hear it. Because I do envision Shilty at every turn in his life being like
the same.
Be like, this is the greatest orange juice I've ever had in my life.
Right.
Like,
I love this conference table here in Peoria.
Man, this bagel.
This conference table won the offseason.
This is a top 5 bagel of my life.
Right.
I need to see it.
I would like that content. I think that's a great idea.
I would
Seriously, behind the scenes baseball, spring training content. Now,
eat it up.
Are you gonna turn on HBO to be like, episode 2?
Yes.
Are we gonna stretch out Stephen Kolek and then like the episode ends?
Yes.
I don't know if that's as intriguing as Saquon Barkley to the Eagles.
For what we do, John. Yes.
Yeah, for what we do. Yes.
I need a like a John Mara, John Seidler moment sitting with AJ Preller being like, I can't live with myself if you give up Jackson Merrill or something. You know what I mean? Like, I need that, dude.
I know you
How
do.
amazing of content would that be?
Incredible.
I would eat it up.
Can we hear from Shilty on the rotation, Brent? So we've been talking a lot about this rotation. We know about the top 3 right now with Cease, King, Darvish. What about the rest? This was Mike Shildt, opening day of spring training. Pitchers and catchers reporting. This is Mike Shildt commenting on the Padres starting rotation.
Start with the established guys, it starts. Darvish had a really good offseason. Early, just in general, I'm comfortable and confident that we've won our offseason with our not only our pitchers but our position players. But specific to the starters, Darvish has had a really productive offseason, is in a really good spot in every facet. So we got a healthy Darvish going, and Michael, of course, coming off a great year, King, and has again got married or went on his honeymoon after the off seasons with it. So, that was exciting for him. But Michael's in a great spot, and of course Dylan. I've seen the beard, but looking really good and coming off another great year of consistency and did a great job for us. So there's 3 guys that are right at the top that we feel comfortable about and being all equivalent of ones. And then no particular order. You've got Vasquez, who had a lot of opportunities for us last year and got better as the season went, and is clearly competing for a starting job. And then you've got Waldron. Without Matt Waldron, the season didn't end the way he would have liked to have. We had a healthier club at the end, and we're clicking with some guys pitching well and returning. But Matt Waldron had a 6-week stretch last year that effectively kept us right in where we were looking to go. And so Matty's going to compete for that job, and Johnny Brito's going to get that opportunity as a starter, and so that'll be good. And we're going to lengthen out Stephen Kolek and give him an opportunity to start as well, and then we'll take it from there.
All right, so that's everything you ever wanted to know about where the rotation is as we sit here on February 12th.
It's a great rotation, John.
Yeah. That's yes. It could be better.
Being serious, if they're big ifs, Darvish making 30 starts and King and Cease backing up last year with the comparable seasons, right? They do have a really good 1-2-3. And you can have that, and you can ride that through a season. And you just have back end pieces that can do the job every 5th or 6th day. You don't need to have aces up and down your rotation. You don't. Be preferred, obviously, but you don't. And then once you get to the postseason, everything shortens up. And who knows? Trades in the middle of the year, you could trade for a pitcher, or somebody steps up, and things get shortened in the postseason. And I think having 3 really good starters, especially 2, at the front of your rotation, that's a good starting point.
It's just great starting.
It's just the depth and the back end are going to be issues all season long, and you just got to hope that King, Cease, and Darvish don't get injured, and they all have really good years.
Agreed. All right, we'll give away tickets to see Australian Pink Floyd on the other side, plus more from Mike Shildt on day 1 of Padres spring training in Peoria, next on Jon and Jim. All right. So what could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey guys, it is Schaefer, and Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork or cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out, paid off all their credit cards, a couple of car loans, a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 619-207-4336. Get the money you need for anything. 619-207-4336 or LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. All right, stay with us in the next 5 minutes. We'll give away a pair of tickets to Australian Pink Floyd. And this is coming up Sunday, August 17th, Cow Coast Credit Union Open Air Theater. Great venue. Although we've technically never been to an event there, but I've walked by it 1,000 times and it looks like an incredible venue.
You're like, oh, this place is great.
It is great. I just haven't been in.
So how can you say something's great when you haven't been to it before?
I'll give you an example. I was outside the Louvre. I'm like, this place is probably great. And I didn't go in.
Like, oh man,
I'm comparing the
Canada's great.
I'm comparing the open air theater to the Louvre. But I mean, some things you just know. Like I was outside Wrigley Field. I'm like, it's probably great.
No. Okay. You're using different wordage there. You said probably great. And then when you're describing the amphitheater, you say
it's great.
It is great.
It is because I've been there. I just haven't been there for an event.
Yeah. So you have to say it's probably great for an event, not it is great because you haven't been to it yet. If you go to the Louvre, you're like, this place is great. Okay. How can you say that? You've never been inside before.
Let's go to Australian Pink Floyd.
Oh,
at the open air. Yeah.
When is it?
It doesn't
Sunday,
matter. John
August
is going
17th.
to go anyways.
I'm going to go.
No, I said you're not going to go anyway, so it doesn't
go.
matter.
I like Pink Floyd.
You'll not go.
Yeah, just like we're going to go to that Sonic themed popped up restaurant and.
Oh no! Don't do this!
And,
don't do this.
See Batman? You're like, no.
I don't want to see Batman.
You said you wanted to see Batman.
I lied. Anyway, for tickets and info, go to Ticketmaster.com.
I know you.
We'll give away tickets to see Australian Pink Floyd again coming up within the next 5 minutes or so. What was I going to say? I had something. Oh, maybe it was back to Schulte.
More Schulte?
Because we have more Schulte sound. That's exactly what.
Can't get enough of this guy.
Let's hear from Schulte. The signing of the week. I mean, Jim spent 4 hours on Connor Joe Friday. And then we spent 3 hours on Jason Hayward on Monday.
Yeah, that was a time.
So here was the manager today, Mike Schild, on these recent signings of Jason Hayward and Connor Joe.
I've got some history with Jason. I mean, listen, the guy's a winner. Clearly won a World Series with the Cubs. Been, on a lot of postseason teams in his career. Virtually every year he's in the postseason. So you're talking about a winning player. I was with him in St. Louis in 2015. Came up at the end of that year, and he's just, he's a proven guy, a real pro, and he's clearly going to get the opportunity to go play and take the opportunity in left field that we have. And he's excited to be here, and we're excited to have him. So it's a really good addition, especially this late in the offseason. And then Connor Joe, local kid that has been able to play all over the field. So, he'll be in that mix a little bit as well, but he also has played first base, and, we do have more of a DH spot open as well. So, there's multiple different paths for Connor, and again, I'm really excited. I won't put words in his mouth clearly, but a guy that homegrown guy that's going to be able to have some home games. So plus makeup, plays the game right, and it'll be a good addition.
All right, so Mike Schild earlier today again on Connor Joe and Jason Hayward. They'll both be given a ton of opportunities in spring. I think both of them, they probably envision being with the team all year long. Like you didn't sign them for them not to be successful, although the Padres have done this before with some veteran players, but they've got room for both. I mean, he made a good point. DH, what's the plan there? Versatility of Connor Joe, I think that's fair. And Jason Hayward, he didn't have a good year last year, but he did appear in a lot of games last year. And he has been on good teams. Now, I don't know if that's all because of Jason Hayward, but he's been on good teams. And maybe, I'm not saying he's pro far on field, but maybe he fills a void in a clubhouse like a Jerks and Profar. That's a possibility for Jason Hayward.
And if these guys don't perform, it's easy to just bail.
Yeah,
all right, we're good.
Cut bait.
Yeah, it's a very low cost, low risk type of move. The only risk that comes with it is if you decide to continuously play these guys if they're bad.
Right.
And you're like, what are we doing here? Like just move on. You got Tirso. Okay, see what he's got. It's pretty much it. I mean, Brandon Lockridge, but he's not an everyday guy at all.
Mm-hmm.
You're not bringing back not Wandy Peralta. You're not bringing back David Peralta. So yeah, see what you got, and what it tells me is they're just putting way more emphasis on their stars this year than anything. They just, like you said, John, there's going to be a warm body in left field. It happens to be a 37-year-old Jason Hayward.
Right. Like we've said each of the last 2 years, there'll be a left fielder.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to, right. I mean, there'll be someone out there. You're right. I do think there's a pretty big onus on the guys that you're paying to just perform. We've said that so many times over the years. It's like if they get the right productivity from the Machados and the Tatises and the Bogarts, they'll be in fine shape. But I don't want to look up May 1st and say the same thing we always say. Why is Machado hitting 219 a month into the season? Yeah. Why hasn't Tatis hit for power yet? Why is Bogarts only hitting for singles? Show up from day one. I mean, not maybe literally. I'm not saying you have to have 3 hits on day one, all these stars, but don't punt on April and say, oh, well, Manny always heats up in July. Well, we like him to heat up in April one time too. It'd be nice.
The only way if Manny does start off slow again is if other players around him are hot. Like if Xander has a hot,
yeah, that's true,
first month of the year, Toddy has a hot first month, someone else steps up, and they do get out to a 16-11 start with Manny hitting 210 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, you'll think to yourself, man, what would this team be if Manny was actually hitting, I don't know, 320
right to
start the year instead of 220 to start the year. But you can survive that, and Manny's going to get his, and eventually Manny will get hot at some point in the season. And if you play well when Manny doesn't play well, that's actually, you might look at that as saying like that's actually better. Like that's really good because like in the NBA when like Steph or LeBron they go off the court, the other players that go on to replace them, it's like, oh well, the non-Steph Curry minutes the team was -8. It's like, well, in the non-Curry minutes they're +8.
Yeah, that's
a great thing to have.
Yeah,
it's like if the team is doing well and above 500 in the times that Manny Machado is slumping, well, just imagine what they're going to be like when he does get hot and does get rolling, because he will get rolling at some point.
He will.
It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. So
well said. You should do this for a living. Have you considered it? You just like doing it pro bono?
I just don't say it.
As a volunteer. All right, call right now. First caller has 2 free tickets to see Australian Pink Floyd. This is Sunday, August 17th, Cal Coast Credit Union Open Air Theater on campus at San Diego State. For tickets and info, Ticketmaster.com. First caller, you're going to free tickets. 877-767-4760. That's 877-767-4760. On the other side, looking ahead to this weekend for San Diego State. It doesn't get bigger than this in the regular season. Aztecs Boise State will look ahead. Jim's back page still ahead. Warren Haynes tickets will give away coming up as well. Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by the San Diego International Airport. San Diego State took down San Jose State last night in a thrilling victory. They had a 17-0 run to start the second half. Now they take on Boise State on Saturday night here at Viejas Arena. 7 p.m. tip, 6 p.m. pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. And then tonight we have NBA basketball. And 30 minutes from now as the Lakers take on the Jazz. Luka is probable in that game with a calf strain. Again, listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. The first phase of the new Terminal 1 at San Diego International Airport opens this fall. In addition to a new airport experience, the roads around the airport are changing. Please pay attention to roadway signage and drive safely.
All right, in 10 minutes, we'll give away Warren Haynes Band tickets. We'll do that coming up in 10 minutes. That's right here in San Diego. Humphreys by the Bay, May 14th, coming up a couple of months from now. We'll give those away in 10 minutes. So the Aztecs, if you missed it last night, oh, man. I mean, I did not sleep well last night. That's happened now like 4 or 5 straight games because there's been so much adrenaline.
I did see you tweet at like 1 a.m.
Yeah, I was up. I was up like, way past.
What? So I woke up early this morning for some reason. I was up.
Yeah, why did you text me at 8 a.m.? Like, go to sleep.
I don't know. I was up at like 7:50, and I looked at my phone around 8, and I saw.
What did you send me?
I saw a tweet from you. It said 6 hours ago. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, it was one of those nights because the games end like that, and then there's adrenaline, and it's late at night, and you drive home, and I don't know. I just can't go right to sleep.
You're just so pumped up.
Well, either way, win or lose. Like if you lose, it races through your mind. And if you win, it's still kind of racing through your mind. But here's what it is set up as the point. So Saturday night at Viejas Arena, and do I have this right? I think I do, is a blackout.
Ooh.
It is Boise State, who the Aztecs beat in Boise. Let me just quickly pull up the schedule. I'm 99.999999999% sure it's a blackout.
Okay.
It's a blackout. So fans encouraged to wear black. T-shirts for the first 1,000 students.
So not white?
No, blackout.
Oh.
You idiot. This is Saturday at 7 p.m. San Diego State, Boise State. You're saying, okay, yeah. But it's a huge game. Boise State is right where San Diego State is, which is basically on the bubble. They don't have as good of a resume, but you look at the metrics. Boise State is higher in the net than the Aztecs.
Is quad, what, 1, 2?
It's actually 2 because it's a home game. But I just look at it like, okay, you're in the final month essentially of the season, and the winner kind of has the leg up to be an at-large candidate in the Mountain West.
They had a good road victory at Boise earlier this year.
Yep.
It's a fantastic road win for them.
One of the best games they've played this year.
They started out a little slow like they normally do, but
got going.
Miles Bird, I think, had like a fantastic game, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll have to look at that box score.
Someone had a breakout
over a month
game
ago, right? Early January.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Miles Bird had a like whoa type of game.
What are you gonna say? Tell me a line. Just throw something out. Because I don't even know. I'll look right now.
Look right now.
Yeah, I'm looking.
All right.
What do you think he did?
Yeah, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block, 2 steals.
22 points, 8 of 15 shooting, 3 of 6 from 3, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Take that, 22 points, 8 of 15.
Very close.
You were very close.
I knew he had a great game that day.
Taj DeGorville, 13 points.
Oh, man.
In that game as well. Aztecs, yeah, that's one of their better games, dude. You're right. I mean, they won 76-68 on the road at Boise. I don't know. All these games are like so fearful. And Boise State's had 8 days off to get ready. They've had their bye, and they need it like San Diego State needs it. I'm already like biting fingernails thinking about Saturday. Hey, turn on your mic.
Hey. Aztecs had a week off, and look what happened in their first game back.
True. No, it's true. Doesn't guarantee.
Little rusty.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't look sharp.
No, you're right.
Make their free throws.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the same case for Boise on Saturday.
Are we in must-win still territory?
I always view home games as must-win, just no matter what, for whoever.
Right.
I'm not going to change. I think, yeah, Saturday, Boise State, is basically, to me, a must-win. If it was on the road, I wouldn't consider that a must-win. But at home, I consider every game a must-win game at home. Got to hold home court.
Yeah, I look at these. I guess there's like 3 marquee regular season games. Did you say that? Utah State on the road, New Mexico at home, and Saturday against Boise State. I mean, you could make a compelling case that they got to go 2-1 in those 3 games. Boise State at Utah State, home for New Mexico. And how are you going 2-1 in those 3 games if you lose at home to Boise State? That wouldn't be easy.
No.
So
and
under
even
that theory,
and if they sweep the table of all the bad teams in Mountain West, that's not going to mean much then.
Right, without a couple of upper echelon wins, like a quad 1 or 2 win in there. Too.
Right. And then it makes it even more tricky if they don't sweep the Wyomings and the Fresno States of the world here, right? And you do end up losing a couple games to the Boise, New Mexico, or Utah State.
Yeah.
And then what if you do trip up to Wyoming or Fresno State? Then it's you're game over.
And at that point, you just have to win in Vegas. But the other thing about having to win in Vegas, and like I even go back to your tweet yesterday where it's like, hey, if they don't win this game, their only path is the Mountain West tournament. But how are you going to feel about winning the Mountain West tournament if you go in there not playing great basketball? If they go in the best case where it's like 6-1 down the stretch, they win these games. They beat Boise. They beat New Mexico. Their only loss is Utah State. Well, you'd be like, yeah, they could win in Vegas. They just closed 6-1, and they beat Boise, and they beat New Mexico. But if they go in, I'm making it up, 4-3 over these 7 games or 3-4, you're not going to be going into Vegas thinking, all right, just snap your fingers, and they're just going to win 3 games in 3 days. I don't think that's what you would be thinking heading into that.
And they'd be, what, a 5 or 6 seed?
It won't be lower than a 5, I don't think. They've got 3 games clearance on like the 6 or below.
All right.
So they're going to be a top 5 seed, barring a significant setback.
Yeah. When, off the top of your head, and I'm probably an idiot.
You're an idiot.
When's the last time they won a regular season championship? What, 3 years ago?
The regular season title they won the regular and the Mountain West tournament. Is 2022 accurate? They didn't do it in 23 when they went to the national championship. Correct?
I thought they did.
They lost to Boise State in the conference. No, now I'm confusing years. They maybe did it in 23.
I think the final 4 year they like had everything.
Yeah,
and it was like
they might have done it in 23.
One of those special seasons when all of it, they get all of it.
Yeah,
everybody's like 4 banners.
Right.
Remember?
You may be right. You're 100% right. They beat Utah State in the conference title game.
They won the regular season.
They had to, right?
Yeah.
So 2 years ago,
the final 4 year.
Yeah.
And then 3 years if they don't win it this year again. Right?
Yeah. I mean, they're only 1 season removed from winning the Mountain West regular season and tournament. They didn't do it last year, but they did it the year before. They're only 1 season removed. Yeah.
Okay.
They're only 1 year removed.
All right. I was just thinking, like, when's the last time that they did that? So it wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that the only point you were making?
I wasn't even making a point. I was just asking a question.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just I know Aztec fans are listening because they tune in all the time and I get a lot of reaction from it. I would say this to Aztec fans, and Dutch said a post game. This is the game to bring everything. Like, be as loud as you possibly can. Viejas is an amazing home court advantage. It hasn't necessarily been this year. They've lost 3 times at home. But I'm just telling you right now, we're all going to look up. There's going to be 2:11 remaining in the game, and it's going to be a 2-point game. So everything's on the line for both of these teams. It's not going to be easy one way or the other. I just think the crowd is going to be a huge factor, and the crowd's going to be great. And hopefully the teams play, and the crowd and all that.
Play.
No, they're not going to play, but hopefully the teams play and the crowd combined wills them to a win.
Mm-hmm. So this game, along with the Utah State game, no, not the Utah State game, the New Mexico game. Sorry,
at home.
Those are the 2 big games remaining on your home schedule.
And they're both really tough.
They are.
Boise's veteran team.
The thing about this team is, though, while they're wildly inconsistent with how they play at times.
Mm-hmm.
They have shown if they put together a good 40-minute game, they can beat anybody.
If they put together a good 9 minutes, they can outscore someone by 22 points.
Right. So they have it in them.
Yeah.
They've shown it. They have 2 really good wins on their resume. They've shown up in big moments. Yes, they've gotten beaten by double digits at times this year, but they haven't been blown out, like fully blown out. The New Mexico game on the road.
Yeah, that was a game that they weren't really in late, but they ended up losing by, I think, by 14.
That was one of those games that you could probably say was the closest to a blowout this year.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, they blew a lead to Utah State. The
UNLV home loss,
it
was close.
The Gonzaga game, Miles Bird wasn't healthy, but they were competitive the entire game.
Right. Yep.
You make your free throws against Colorado State the other night, you probably win. 6-point loss, right?
Yeah, they also Oregon by 9.
Yeah, it was competitive.
It was like a 2-point game with 3 minutes.
They've been competitive in every game except for really, you could probably point to just one.
Honestly, Brian Dutcher's tenure, that's what's so impressive. They're never out of games. It's like an average of one time per year they're out of a game with like 7 minutes left. It happens like one time a year.
It's crazy.
Over the last 8 years. All right. Call right now if you want 2 free tickets to see the Warren Haynes Band. This will be at Humphreys by the Bay, May 14th. First caller, you're going to see Warren Haynes here in San Diego, Humphreys by the Bay, 877-767-4760. Call right now if you want those 2 free tickets. 877-767-4760. 2 free tickets to see the Warren Haynes Band at Humphreys by the Bay, May 14th, 877-767-4760. Jim's back page. That comes your way next. You know what's interesting? You and I use YouTube TV, right? A lot of our listeners do.
Love YouTube TV.
It's the number one streaming service now for Americans to watch TV. Because they put something out on that. Like more people are streaming via YouTube TV than all the others.
I hate how they raised the prices again, but
well, listen to this.
That's why they raised them.
31 minutes ago, they announced that they have not been able to reach a fair deal with Paramount to keep their channels on YouTube TV. Now, this happens, right, where it's like DirecTV can't reach a deal with ESPN or whatever. So what that means is if you don't have Paramount, that could impact your ability to watch CBS channels, including CBS Sports. San Diego State plays Saturday night on CBS Sports Network.
Then we have a problem
against Boise State.
We have a big problem.
Now, listen, there's a long way between now and Saturday. These things sometimes get resolved immediately. Other times they don't. That has not been an issue with YouTube TV since we've had it. I've had it now for 5 years, probably, something like that. And very rarely do I recall any type of dispute that's taken channels off YouTube TV. Although, back in the day when we first got YouTube TV was the Bally Sports era. We used to have Bally Sports San Diego on YouTube TV, and then that got ripped off.
Yep.
And that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
For Bally Sports San Diego.
Oh, Bally Sports San Diego was...
I know. I mean...
awful from the jump.
I was cool with it back in the day when it was on YouTube TV. Or maybe not. I'm even going back to the Fox Sports San Diego days.
Fox Sports San Diego was fine. I liked it. And then they came with Bally's. And
that was the beginning.
The first thing that we see is the score bug take up so much of the bottom third of the TV.
And they Winnipeg Jets scores.
Yeah, NHL scores. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I didn't like it. That was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
But just FYI, is if you're a YouTube TV subscriber, there's some type of dispute going on right now with Paramount, CBS. Hopefully it's resolved because, again, if you're a sports fan, that could impact you. All right. Let's get to it.
So earlier in the postseason, the Eagles were selling like tubs of snow from their playoff game. Remember that playoff game against the Rams?
I do.
They were selling some snow from the game.
How do you preserve that? Maybe in a freezer?
Yeah, freezer. Like a jug of ice cream, put in the freezer to keep it frozen.
So you just keep it in the freezer forever?
Probably. Well, the Eagles are going to sell canned celebration confetti from their Super Bowl victory.
Yeah, that's way better to me. Way better.
Collectible cans of confetti are available for $59.99. I don't know about that.
Okay.
It's fine. Now, the can does come in like a world champion celebration confetti, and it has like an authentication sticker on it, and it has a picture of the Eagles, holding up the trophy, and it says world champions on the front. I mean, it's pretty cool if you're a diehard fan of any team.
$60.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool to have if you weren't able to go and you can have the confetti from the field. I think that's kind of like a cool thing to have.
The Fanatics Super Bowl 24-hour merchandise record was the Eagles 7 years ago. It was broken by the Eagles this year.
Dude, Aaron already bought a sweatshirt.
Well, that put it over the top. the all-time Super Bowl 24-hour record was maybe broken because of Aaron. But yeah, it was set by the Eagles 7 years ago, their first ever, and then I guess reset this year.
She was looking for sweatshirts or a shirt to buy on NFL Shop. And within, no joke, like 10 minutes of her looking,
gone.
The one that she wanted to get was gone. So she had to get like another one.
Right.
So I sent her.
Well, they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know. I sent her to Breaking Tees. So
it's a good idea.
They have good stuff.
Yeah,
there.
it's a good idea.
Subway, John, is giving away free footlongs for Valentine's Day. The Valentine's Day Subway sandwich is offering a delicious way to celebrate. No flowers or chocolates required. Starting Monday, this past Monday, the sandwich chain is launching a buy one, get one free sub promotion, perfect for sharing a meal with someone special. The limited time deal allows customers to enjoy 2 subs for the price of 1, making it easy and affordable. So that is going through Valentine's Day, which is Friday.
Okay.
What?
Nothing.
You want an update on the asteroid?
Astros or asteroid?
No, the asteroid.
Don't tell me the odds went up.
It's still on its way.
Odds went down.
Thank you.
By 0.001%.
That's it?
Yeah,
I feel better. Now John,
right?
John can sleep at night now. That's the real reason John could sleep last night.
You guys were free. I'm fine. I don't think this thing's hitting anything. And if it does, I have no control over it.
I mean, look, I think we got to worry about it a little bit.
We have to worry about it a little bit.
I'm not losing sleep, but.
So what's the percentage right now that this asteroid hits Earth and ruins everything?
We're at 2.3%. It was at 2.4%.
Oh, so it actually went down 0.1.
Well, it was at like
right, I got it.
2.
Yeah.
I got it. The article says.
So it went down just a little bit. The percentage, tiny bit.
Tiny bit.
At what point are you fully comfortable? 0.1? That's a 1 in 1,000.
Give me a 1% chance.
You're comfortable that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
A 1% chance.
Yeah, but if you in 2 years, you're at like a 12% chance.
Oh, that's a problem.
We have an issue.
So you're one of these guys that thinks 1% is something that doesn't happen.
No, but I'm not going to sit here and be like worrying my whole life over a 1% chance of something happening.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that.
You wouldn't even worry.
Okay. No.
Brent would go on a plane if it had a 95% chance of survival rate.
I probably would.
John wouldn't.
No chance. I mean, again, you never know. You just don't know.
See, there are no guarantees.
There's
in
no
life,
guarantees.
So
no, you're right.
If you're going to do that, then never leave your house.
1%'s not nothing. Back on my theory, if 100 planes took off and one of them didn't make it, that's not nothing. And there's a lot more than 100 planes that take off.
Do you think I have a 1% chance of winning the lottery right now?
No chance.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's say if
there's a chance.
If someone shot 100 free throws and they made 99 of them, are you fairly confident that he's going to make the next one? Are you going to be terrified?
I'm not terrified because making a free throw isn't going to cost me my life.
Well, what if it was like a Squid Game scenario to where it would?
Oh, Squid Games.
I just want to eat dinner.
What are you having for dinner?
I have no idea.
I don't know either. Oh, wait, no, I do know what we're having for dinner.
What are you having?
We are having pasta with ground beef and Brent's favorite, cooked onions and mushroom and spinach.
Who made that?
I did.
Earlier?
I made it last night.
Leftovers?
I just have to cook the pasta.
Okay.
And then I have the meat sauce with marinara. I just got to cook the pasta and we're ready to go.
So you guys eat kind of late.
Well,
7. So you get home at 6 something, you cook dinner, and now it's 7 something. That's late.
When do you eat?
Second I get home. If I only worked like till 5, I'd eat at 5:40.
Well, that's what we try to do. I mean, I got to cook, yeah, but it takes a little time, John. And I drive like 30 minutes to get home, and then
is it a 30-minute drive?
Yeah, it's like a 20 to 30 minute drive.
Okay. No,
it's like 7:30, 8 o'clock before I eat.
7:30, 8 o'clock. You guys are.
It's tough because like Erin gets up early,
right,
in the morning. Not like super early, but she's out of the door by between 8:30 and 8 a.m. sometimes.
Yeah.
So when she gets home, she's tired, and I get home and I cook food, and it's like gets between like 7:30 ish, and she eats, and then it's like, okay, we're time for bed.
Time for bed. Yeah.
And you're like, okay,
right. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we move the show? Like
to what? 2 to 5?
2 to 5?
1 to 5.
Do 2 to 5.
And let's move Fletch Zone to 11 to 1. Let's move Colin to 8 to 11. Let's move Dan Patrick 5 to 8.
That would work out great for
Everyone
us.
wins.
That would work beautifully.
That would be good.
Yeah.
I kind of like 3 to 6, truthfully. Everything was going perfectly.
Don't tell them that.
Everything was great. Tell who? Bosses or our listeners?
The bosses that I'm sure are
3
listening.
to 6 is better than 2 to 6?
Yeah.
They know that. They know that 3 to 6 is better than 2 to 6.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll hear more tomorrow, presumably from Mike Schill, right?
I need this is the greatest second day ever.
Yeah.
What's better than the first day?
Second day. It's a top 5 day of the season. The second day of pitchers.
Every
and
day
catchers.
this week is a top day for Schulte.
So we will. What do we have tomorrow as well? We've got Chris
Coach's
Hodge will
show.
join us on Friday. Coach's show. Brian Dutcher Coach's show is tomorrow night. Thank you. At 6 p.m. We'll get you ready for the Aztecs this weekend here in the middle of February, and we're inching towards opening day in baseball as well. All right, if you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. You can find Jon and Jim on social media. You can find us on YouTube as well, JONANDJIM. For Brent and Jim, I'm Jon. Keep it here. This is San Diego Sports 760.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.